Oh, my Teaserking family. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody's having a nice weekend. I'm doing fine. I was watching some YouTube stuff and I was watching a Peter Schiff, Val somebody. They're both idiots. They just don't get the dollars collapsing. So they'll say, well, the debt's, 36 trillion and soon it'll be 50 and 100 and 200. No, it won't. It won't go much further. It's going to go out because the dollar will be worthless. I can't anybody get that. I got my coffee just a second. Sorry about that. So they all miss the most basic premise, which is the dollar's going to zero, so there won't be a debt because the dollar won't have a value. It'll be a debt in new currency or whatever they come up with. All they need to do is switch to a medium of exchange, and nobody seems to be able to understand that. It's very simple. Medium of exchange is this crap, and it goes to zero because you printed it too much because you're an idiot. You shouldn't have done it. And then we need a new one. But the economy works, the banks work, everything works fine. It's the medium of exchange. You can't print it to nothing. And the problem is the Keynesians, these MMT idiots, will just keep printing, and it's destroying it. But they're all idiots. They don't get it. Those are the people in charge. In their minds, oh, we need to print more. And that's what happened in 1923. And they printed more, and oops, didn't work. One more second. Sorry. I was making my pita toast, and I didn't want to. It's funny how people use toasters. You can just use a frying pan and fry it with olive oil or butter and tastes the same. All right. So, baseball. What a day yesterday. Holy shit. I think I had two losers. So we start off with the Yankees over 9. They win 8-3. Then we got Washington over 9. They win 6-4. Then we got KC over 9. Bullpen day, and it's 6-5 Tigers. Somehow they scored 6 runs. Then we played Pittsburgh. They beat Arizona 4-2. Then we get Baltimore. I was watching this game last night just to see Baltimore and Cleveland, and I can't believe I got the over. I have Baltimore over, I think it's 8.5, and it's it's 3-2 going into like the 8th inning. I go, I'm fucked, and then Baltimore scores 5 runs, and it's 9-2, or it's something like that. It was. I think I hit it. It was like 7-2. They scored like 4 runs in the 8th, and then Cleveland scored 2, so it ended up a 7-4. I got an 11, and I couldn't believe I got so many runs in the last 2 innings. Minnesota 6-2. White Sox have lost 19 in a row, so I played that just on the streak. Baltimore 7-4. There's the game I was talking about. Cincinnati under. I have under 9, and it's 6-4. And I'll look into that box score. Like, did I lose it in the bottom of the 9th again? And my other loser, Tampa Bay, Houston. I have Houston with Bianco, and now Bianco's fucking up. So you get that. Here's the problem. So he throws a no-hitter against the Tigers, and you think he's going to no-hit everybody, and you think nobody can hit him. And so I took Houston. Tampa had a shit pitcher going, and Tampa won 6-1, and you can't figure it out. It's teams like Tampa and Miami that you think, oh, they're really bad, and then they start winning a bunch of games, and it shows you over the course of 162, Philly's going to be struggling. Baltimore, the Yankees, and then they get it back, and then teams like Tampa and Miami and Detroit, who can't play, all of a sudden start scoring. So that's loser number 2, Houston. Miami beats Atlanta 4-3. Again, I had no clue there. San Diego 3-2. I have San Diego under 8.5. That's a winner. The Dodgers beat Oakland 10-0. I think the Dodgers were like a 300 favorite, so I didn't play them. And then I got Philadelphia over 8. I think it's 8 over 8, and Seattle 6-5 them. So 11. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, 8-2 yesterday. What a day. See, but the day before I was crap. I think I was like 3-7, but it was the same strategy. I'm betting the pitchers, the aces. I'm betting against the weaks. And one day it doesn't work, and the next day it works. So now I'm an idiot. Friday, and then Saturday I'm a hero. I did the same exact thing. But again, like I told you got to have the mentality of it doesn't matter. If it's a good game, we bet it. And that's the secret to my success in football. If I'm supposed to bet Mahomes and I bet and we lose, and then the next week I'm supposed to bet Mahomes, I bet Mahomes again. See, Bobby sits there and he gets mad at like Cam Rising because he gets hurt in the Rose Bowl, and he won't bet him because he takes it personally. Where me, it's just picks, and you win or lose with them. But once you figure out the variables and the theories, now you get it. And then some days it doesn't work, and most days it works. And it works a lot more than it doesn't work. And that's what I've been finding out. And in football, we know what works. And we've kind of figured it. We were using the trends, but then we realized the trends can't be successful because of all the movement, all the coaches and quarterbacks moving and playing, rookies and all this shit. So you have a new you have a new revelation. You're going, well, wait a minute, let's look at the defense, which led to why does Mahomes have a bad day? Because he's playing against a really good defense. Why does he score 50 sometimes? Because he's playing a weak defense. So that was the trigger, and it's mostly in college, but it does work in the pros, where you just look at these defenses that are 34, 35, and you go, fuck, I got a good quarterback. How are they going to stop them? See, then it became art of war. Well, wait a minute, we're going against their weakness, and if we have a good quarterback. So if Cam Rising's going against, a 32 defense, they're going to score 60 points. But if he goes up against Georgia, he ain't going to score 60 points, right? Or at least he shouldn't. I doubt he would, but that's why, like Hooker against Alabama put up 50, but against Georgia, he didn't. He put up 6. So it's all the type of defense and everything else. So that's you've got to get your system or your reason for why you're picking, right? And it all blends together. So then you become stoic and you say, I know Mahomes is a dog, is the bet, and nobody's talking me out of it. And I don't care what ESPN says and DraftKings and BetMGM. I don't care what they say. They want action. They're selling you to bet, and then they know you're going to lose most of them anyway, because most people don't know what they're doing. Just like money, just like stocks, just like everything but gold. Nobody understands it. Oh, I'm going to play oil stocks. Well, what's that going to do for you? I'm going to play Amazon. I'm going to, what's that going to do for you when the dollar crashes? But they don't understand the dollar crashing. So you stoic is I know I'm right, and I'm going to stick with my guns, and I do that very well. People call me stubborn. I'm not stubborn. I figure it out. See, I'm very analytical, so I figure out what works, and then I am not going to. You can't change me, which is good. That's how I'm successful, because I know they're going to win, and they win, and. Like I knew the Yankees over was a joke, right? So I played the Yankees over, and maybe somebody said, oh, no, don't play them or play this or play that or that. And you're like, no, the Yankees over is the play. I'm sure of it. And then they won. That's what you have to do, is kind of not listen to people. Except for the right people. So you can listen to me on football, but I wouldn't listen to ESPN or any of those idiots. So it's like economics. You got to find the right person who understands what they're talking about. So when I tell you about gold or poker, I get it. So you can listen to me and you'll make money. Where like Peter Schiff, he doesn't know anything about gold. So I'm watching the interview. He doesn't understand it. Plus, he's trying to sell gold, so he can't talk about it anyway because he's going to be skewed for him to make sales. But he really doesn't know what he's talking about. See, I'm at the level where I can understand these guys, and I can go, no. They don't know what they're talking about. That's the difference. Most people don't have a clue if they're correct or not, and they'll listen to them, like with the junk silver or, Yankee Doodle Dandy, where gold won't go more than 2,500. Fuck, it'll be 2,500 next week. And when brics hits, it's going to be 3,000 to 5, maybe 10,000, because they'll need a higher. See, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. A COMEX, that it's price fixed, that derivatives are keeping the price down. And then he doesn't understand is why it'll end. See, you've got to look and understand it. Why was Michigan so good last year? Well, they ran the ball and played defense and cheated and had 6 guys on the line and just blitzed every play. Okay, are you going to do that this year? Oh, and by the way, the schedule got 10 times harder than last year, where they played no good teams. and how they made it to the playoffs playing no good team is ridiculous, where this year they got 6 or 7 hard teams. So is Michigan going to go undefeated this year because they went undefeated last year? No, variables have changed. They're playing Texas and USC and Oregon. And Ohio State's a lot better. So you have that. So it's not going to be the same as last year. They'll be lucky, to not have 3 losses, especially with the new coach. He doesn't know what he's doing. So this is the problem you get with these guys. But people don't understand. Like I was in Vegas playing poker at the Venetian. It was Christmas, I think, so it's in the middle of a holiday, or it might have been Thanksgiving. And no, it was Christmas because the bowl games were going on. In Kansas State, when they had Tyler Lockett, was playing Michigan. The Michigan quarterback was injured. And the line was moving, went from 5 to 6 to 7, Kansas State. And some guy I'm playing with, I don't know him at all. He says, I'm taking Kansas State. I'm taking Michigan because the line's moving. And it's always wrong. I always go against the money. And I said, but not this time. The reason the line's moving is because Michigan's quarterback's out and their backup sucks. Kansas State's going to kill him. That was a lock of mine. I tell him that. He doesn't listen. He still bets Michigan. Kansas State won by 25. Didn't understand the variables. Sometimes you go, you bet against the public because your rationale is the public's going to lose most of the time betting on football. So therefore, I'm going to bet against them. Okay, sometimes that works. Not all the time. But when the Michigan quarterback's out and Kansas State had a good team, Tyler Lockett, I mean, what the fuck? And Michigan couldn't cover Tyler Lockett. Anyway, Kansas State wins big. And you just, again, this is the problem. They don't know what they're doing. It's a guess. They're guessing. And we're not guessing. I don't guess. I have to have an understanding of why I'm betting it or I don't. You see me not play every game. All right. It's 11:37. We got one early game. 49ers and the Bengals. We got Robbie Ray, 1-1 with a 4.82 for the Niners. Carson Spires, 4-2 with a 3.46 for Cincinnati. We didn't play this game yesterday. See, there you go. I didn't really have it. Oh, no, we did. Cincinnati under 9 and went over. That was not as efficient as the other ones. Decent pitching, but they didn't. So they are hitting the ball. Robbie Ray, I don't know, 1-1 with the 4.82. Carson Spires, 4-2 with the 3.46. I'm not really getting a feel on Cincinnati. Let's see. So this pitcher, some bullpen, some 3 innings, 4 innings. So let's look at his last 5. 5 innings, a 1-hitter against the Cubbies, 5 innings, 3 runs against Miami, 4 innings, gives up 4 runs to Detroit, 6 innings, gives up 2 runs to St. Louis, 6 innings, gives up 3, 6 innings, gives up 4. So this guy's not an under pitcher. He's going to give up 3, 4 in his 5, 6. So it's going to get down to the bullpen of Cincinnati. And they have a 3.44. They're okay, but again, it's an ERA, so they could shut them out and they could give up 6 runs. And then San Francisco, Robbie Ray, 1-1 with a 4.82. Speaks for itself. 49ers bullpen is terrible, 4.32. So that's probably why the game went over yesterday, and I'm going to say his game's going to go over today. So San Francisco over 9, and we'll go 2 units just to give you some action at noon. I mean, you really don't know if Carson Spires, 4-2 with the 3.46, shuts him out or gives up 5 runs in 3 innings. How's the bullpen play? How are they hitting? So they hit a lot yesterday, so the bats are going. And I'm seeing a lot more overs because we're getting into July and August, and the players have settled down. The pitching's getting tired, and there's so many injuries. Maybe what you're doing doesn't work with this with the spin rate crap. It's good, but the guy gets injured after pitching 10 games. His arm falls off, and he needs Tommy John surgery. He's out for 2 years, and all these injuries are based on the spin rate. Maybe you need to stop the spin rate instead of worrying about the pitch count, because obviously it ain't the pitch count. What are you going to go down to 25 pitches a game? Okay, you're after 2 innings, you're done. Okay, are you okay? Did you make it through? I mean, there's so many injuries because of the spin rate and its torque on the elbow. It's ridiculous. And you want, like in the NFL, they don't want to hit the quarterback because they're getting injured, and they still get injured. Aaron Rodgers, Achilles, Cousins, Achilles, Deshaun Watson, Thompson Robinson, they all get hurt. It's just the nature of the game. You can't prevent the injury in that. It's like race car racing, right? They go 220 miles an hour or 250 miles an hour. There's going to be accidents. They're going to get hurt. But if you slow it down to 50, nobody will watch it. That you can see on the highway. So that's definitely the problem. Okay, so we're going to go over in game one. Toronto and the Yankees. This was a high-scoring game. The Yankees are minus 250 and 9. This game's 135, so we have 2 hours for this. Yariel Rodriguez, 1-4 with the 4.31 against Garrett Cole, 3-2, 5.40. I thought he was getting better, then he sucks, so we're going over again with the Yanks. Over 9, and we'll make this 3 units. All of a sudden they're starting to hit again. And that Boston series, a week ago, they were getting 10 runs a game, and it's still going on. And I look for them to score, get 2 touchdowns today. Garrett Cole, I don't know. He started pitching okay, then he sucks. Maybe he pitches okay for a few innings. I don't know. Miami and Atlanta. Didn't play this one. This was one of the few I didn't play yesterday. Atlanta minus 275, over under 8. Edward Cabrera, 1-3 with a 6.65 for Miami, and Max Fried, 7-5 with a 3.08. This looks like an Atlanta, but Atlanta's minus 275, so we can't play it. Over under of 8. Probably an over. Miami seems to be hitting decently. Again, this is why I kind of shy away from Atlanta and Miami, because I just don't know if they're going to score 2 or 10. And Miami wins a lot of games. They shouldn't. I can't let Atlanta in like 275. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I can't take Cabrera. He's 6.65. So it looks like to go over 8 would be possibly the play, but I'm not going to. I'll write it down, but I'm not betting it. So Atlanta over 8, but no bet. Milwaukee, Washington. This has been fun betting this over. They're scoring touchdowns. I love it. Milwaukee minus 130 and 9. Tobias Myers, 6-4, the 3.10 from Milwaukee, and Mitchell Parker's 5-6 for 4.13, and we're going over again. Washington over 9, and this will be 3 units. So the system says, well, not a system, but it's the theory is that they're both bad pitchers, and there'll be runs, and they're hitting well, and they're scoring a lot. So we'll go with them. Arizona and Pitt, and Luke's buddy, Paul Skynes, is on the mound. Arizona, Ryan Nelson, 8-6 with the 4.53. Paul Skynes, 6-1 with the 1.90. He had a rough outing the last time. Pitt's 155 and 8. So we'll go Pitt with Paul Skynes. We'll take the ace, and we'll take them for 3 units. Again, it's Ryan Nelson's 8-6 with the 4.5 ERA. So there's no other way to play it. If you got Skynes, even if he pitches bad, Pittsburgh should be hitting Nelson. So go Pitt, beat Navy. Baltimore, Cleveland. Boy, do these teams look good. Baltimore, they were hitting that Cleveland bullpen, which is amazing because Cleveland's bullpen is like a 2.0, and they were hitting them. Corbin Burns, 11-4 to 2.47 for Baltimore. Gavin Williams, 1-3 with 3.72. Is this bullpen guy? He's only pitched since July 3rd. No, he just pitches 4 innings, 5 innings, 3 innings, 6 innings, 5 innings. He gives up 3 runs, 2, 5. So he gives up some runs. Well, I think Baltimore, let's see. Baltimore's got a bunch of lefties. He throws right. So Baltimore should have their big boy unit out there. Over under 7.5. That's interesting, too, because we know Baltimore's, I mean, they were hitting the good pitching yesterday. They were hitting the bullpen. They got 4 runs on one of their big stud bullpen guys. Like I said, it was 3-2. I thought, well, the game's going to end 5. I'm over 8.5. I'm dead. And Baltimore just home run, hit, triple, double, 4 or 5 guys in a row got hits, and all of a sudden it's 7-2. I got my 9. So here at 7.5, I'm going to go Baltimore, 3 units. It's tough because I hate going against Cleveland, but I don't think Gavin Williams. I think they're going to hit Gavin Williams, and they started hitting yesterday. But I don't think Cleveland's going to hit Corbin Burns, 11-4, 2.47. And I can't go under. It's only 7.5. This is an over bet if I make it, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to go Baltimore. My favorite team, KC, Detroit. Michael Waka, 8-6 with the 3.58 against a bullpen guy, 5.80, 5-3 with the 3.81. He sucks. He'll go 3-4 innings. Then they'll go to the bullpen and wonder, and then they let the bullpen guy pitch 5 innings, and you wonder, why didn't they just start him? So this is another bullpen day. 8.5. We're going over in this game. We'll go 3 units. Waka's okay, but he's inconsistent. He's 8-6 with the 3.58. Detroit should score. And KC should definitely pound 5.80. And again, KC beat Schoolbowl, so they should be able to, we only need 8.5 here. Yeah, this is a joke. The White Sox mini. And Chris Flexen, 2-10 with the 5.13 against Simeon Woods Richardson, who I don't like, 3-2 with the 3.74. But we got to take Minnesota because Chicago's lost 18 in a row. So this will be 3 units for taking Minnesota. Just we're really betting against Chicago. So sometimes you bet against, sometimes you take. Bet against the pitcher, take it. Bet over, bet under. So many options. Tampa Bay, Houston. Now Tampa beat them 7-1. Where was Altuve yesterday? That was one of my 2 losers. I had Houston. Hunter Biggie, 0-0 with the 1.69. Got to be a bullpen guy against Spencer Spaghetti, 4-9 with the 5.580. Sucks. Let's look at Hunter Big. Hunter looks like a bullpen guy. Yeah. So you got a bullpen day for Tampa. And Spaghetti for Houston with the 5 ERA. We're going over here. So Houston over 8.5. Let's get Altuve going, 3 units. Boston, Texas. This was high scoring yesterday. Texas minus 130.8. Nick Pivetta, 5-7 with the 4.47. Nathan Eovaldi, 8-4 with the 3.38. 2 good pitchers. They're not great. They're not aces. They're probably 2 or 3s. Pivetta looks bad. Eovaldi is pitching pretty well. I hate to take Texas here because Boston can easily win this game. But I ain't taking Boston with Pavetta. Then do we go over or under? Evalde with a 3.38 could shut him down. I'm probably leaning towards the over because it's a nice low 8. Yeah, let's do that. Texas over 8. But we'll make it for 2 units. We don't trust it. The JETS, Jets against California. Jose Quintano. We didn't play this one. Amazingly, we didn't play this one yesterday. Jose Quintano, 6-6 with the 3.89 for the Jets. Griffin Canning, 3-10 with the 5.25. Over under is 10 here. Wow, but California, can they get to 10? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bet it, but I would take the Jets. I think Namath will have a big game today. Oakland and the Dodgers. The Dodgers won 10-0 yesterday. Dodgers are 160 favorite, 8.5. River Ryan, 1-0 with an 0.82, so he's a reliever against Oswald Cobblepot, 2-2 with a 5 for Oakland. Who's this River Ryan? Is he Nolan Ryan's grandkid or something? From North Carolina. He's pitched 2 games, 5 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 1 run. Frisco and Houston. Huh. But the Dodgers have no bullpen. Oakland was hitting, but is not hitting now. I don't know how you bet the Dodgers. This kid's pitched 2 games. I'm sorry, you're laying 160. I'm going to let this go. Philly, Seattle. Had Philly over yesterday, and it came through. Philly minus 127. Zach Wheeler, 10-5 with a 2.94, and Logan Gilbert, 6-7. So we're going Philly under today. We got 2 good pitchers going, and Philly under 7. So we'll go 3 units. It's just a low number with Philly 7, but with these pitchers, and again, Zach Wheeler 10-5 with the 2.94. You can give up. They give up 5 runs in the first inning. You're like, Jesus Christ, really? So the 2.94 guy, it's too. They play too many games. It's too independent. So he might look good for 2 or 3, and then he doesn't look good after that. Colorado, San Diego minus 210-8. Cal Quintrell, 7-7 with the 4.50. Matt Waldron, 6-9 with the 3.89. We had San Diego under yesterday. It was a low-scoring game, interesting enough. I don't know what to do. Because I keep thinking this is an over game. But Colorado on the road sucks, and San Diego, I don't know, they're a good hitting team. Let's go San Diego over this time. Over 8. And 2 units. And last but not least, the Cards and the Cubbies, the Sunday night game. The Cubbies minus 155-9. Miles McCullough, 8-8 with the 4.99. Justin Steele, 2-5 with the 3.38. And let's go Cubbies over. Cubbies over 9. 3 units. Miles McCullough, very inconsistent with a 5 ERA. Justin Steele, 3.38, 2-5. That's fine. So let's walk through this mess. We got San Francisco over 9, 2 units. The Yankees over 9, 3 units. Atlanta over 8, we didn't play. Washington over 9, 3 units. Pitt, Skanes on the mound, 3. Baltimore, 3. Detroit over 8.5, 3 units. Minnesota, 3 units. Houston over 8.5, 3 units. Texas over 8, 2 units. The Mets, we didn't play. Philly under 7, 3 units. San Diego over 8, 2 units. And the Cubs over 9, 3 units. Now, I'm giving you the Mets. I just didn't bet them. So Atlanta over in the Mets are plays, but I'm not betting them. But if you're looking at the game, then that's how I'm going. So that's it again. White Sox have lost 18, 19 in a row. So we're betting against them because they can't win. And we know eventually they will win, but not right now. All right. We talked college football yesterday. Now we'll talk pro football. So I'm reading the news just to pick up something, anything going on. And, Justin Herbert's hurt, but he'll be ready for the beginning of the season. Again, who will play their players in the preseason? KC does. Oh, yeah, and they win all the Super Bowls. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Burrow played a little. I think the better teams are more serious, want to get their players some playing time. So I don't buy this. It's preseason. We don't get anybody hurt. Do you want to lose the first 2 regular season games because your guys aren't prepared and don't have the wind and get injured in the first game? Look at Aaron Rodgers. He got hurt in the first series. The Achilles, he's done. So what are you holding him for? Okay, Kirk Cousins probably not ready yet with his Achilles. Even when he's healthy, he sucks. I would definitely have Penix and Bo Nix out there getting playing time. So it looks like it's going to be Caleb, Bo Nix, and Jalen Daniels as starters. And the rest won't, like Penix won't be, but he should be by week 4, week 5. He should be a rookie of the year, Penix, if he gets out there. But Atlanta's coaches are really stupid, so I don't think they'll do that. But Cousins sucks, and he'll probably gets re-injured. He'll go out. What is it about Kirk Cousins that you think he's good? I sit there and scratch my head going, he's terrible. He was terrible at Michigan State. Why is he all of a sudden good? So I don't get it. All right. Odds, NFL, week 1. Here we go again. We're really just looking for line movements. I don't want preseason. All right. KC 3, 46.5, 47. Lamar against Mahomes should be the starters. Baltimore 7-1 is a road dog. KC's decent as a home favorite. Decent as a bet against. Home favorite means they play a lot of close games at home, but they win a lot of them. Both teams have 17 defenses. So I threw in the defense now from last year. Now, if the coach didn't change, I wouldn't expect this to change. And I know Spagnuolo is still the coach. So I'm anticipating KC still has the 17 defense. So that's the Thursday night. They get their rings. So we'll see what happens. So a small edge to Baltimore as a road dog. And both teams, like I said, with the 17 defense. So KC -3. Over under 46.5, 47. Friday night from Brazil. God knows why they're going there. Philly minus 1.5, 48.5. In Brazil, Friday night, Love against Hurts. Green Bay ended with a 21 defense, and Philly fell to a 25 defense with Matt Patricia. How he's even a defensive coach is beyond me. A big trend on Green Bay. They're 12-1 as a road dog, and Philly is bet against Philly as a road favorite is 7-1. So Philly on the road's not good. Green Bay's a very good road dog. Now keep in mind, when the game's not, once it's one of these neutral games where they're playing in London or Germany or now Brazil, it's a road game for both teams because Philly's not at home, so it can't be a home game, even though you're thinking they are. So they're a road. This is a road game, like a bowl game, or the game at the Jerry Dome or the Vegas game in Vegas or something. Those are all road games for both teams. So Love against Hurts. So the trend goes to Green Bay as the dog. And again, it's Brazil on a Friday night. And defensively, Green Bay 21, Philly 25. So what do I put the defense in? Well, Love should have a good day against a weaker defense, a 25 defense. However, we got a new defensive coordinator. These idiots aren't playing in the preseason, so week one, they're going to all get tired, pull their hamstrings and calves and everything else. There's going to be a lot of injuries. They're not nearly in shape because there's you can run, but then there's game shape. Game shape is you huddle up and then you run real fast and then you stop and you hit and then you huddle and then you do it again. And you're going top speed. Well, you don't do that in practice. They're not doing that. They're not even, I don't even know if they're wearing pads. When they play these inter-scrimmage, Philadelphia plays Green Bay at Philadelphia High School or something. I mean, that's not a game. So that's what you got to understand. So we'll see. Vic Fazio, I've never been impressed with, so I don't know what the hell the big thing is. All I know is you got all these Georgia defensive players. You should be shutting everybody out. So it's really surprising how bad a coaching job this is. Why the guy kept his job, I don't know. So he goes to the Super Bowl 2 years ago and has Kansas City, but KC gets the win. And KC gets the win. But the coach isn't smart enough. See, he's taking the credit for it. But he had nothing to do with it. It was his coordinator. But he wasn't smart enough to keep the coordinators. It was all a gimmick offense anyway with this quarterback push crap. I knew it would come back to haunt him. So he lets the coordinators go. One guy goes to Indy, one guy goes somewhere else, and replaces them with two idiots. And they suck. Now you replace them again. Well, why didn't you just keep the ones you had? Just like Kansas City did. Spagnuolo, they gave him a 5-year contract. Said, we don't want you to leave. He's like, okay, that's fine. I've been a head coach. I sucked at it. So now that's what you have, but it's not the head coach doing anything. See, he's not. Lombardi was the coach. Don Shula was the coach, right? Bill Parcells, God knows nobody, it was all him. Now you got coaches that don't even know what they're doing. I mean, this guy in Philadelphia just showed you he doesn't know what he's doing. He had 10 times a better team than Tampa and lost at Tampa in a playoff game. What the fuck is that? How do you go like 10-1 and end up 10-8 and that, or 10-7 and lose to Tampa in a playoff? What, are you kidding me? So this is the problem. Obviously, the coach is terrible at Philly, and now he needs a good offensive and defensive coordinator to be good, which, Kellen Moore, I liked as a quarterback. I don't know if he's a good coordinator. And Vic Fangio, wasn't he the Bears coach? And they were like 2-14 or whatever. So again, don't like that. So we will see. But all I can say is Green Bay is a very strong road dog. Love looked good the end of the year. They were scoring all over the place. Good core, good receivers, good running backs. The defense, decent. They had a couple in the draft. We'll see. The Boston College coach is now the defensive coordinator, which scratched my head there. So we'll see. But, now here's, do we trust the trends? Well, the trends we can trust. Last year, 8-0 was a road dog. We can't trust the 12-1 trend. So last year, they were 8-0 as a road dog. The year prior, they were 4-1, so they're 12-1. But that was Aaron Rodgers. So you can only trust the 1 year 8-0. We can trust the 7-1 Philly because Hurts has been there a few years. So they were a strong road dog last year. They ended well, killing Dallas and putting up a ton on the Niners and then losing. And that's the point. So is that going to continue now, or it's kind of been reset? That's what you're really looking for. All right. Tennessee and the Bears. The Bears are 4.5, 43.5. We got Levis against Caleb. Obviously, no trends. Caleb didn't play last year. They both have 22 defenses as of last year. What's changed? Well, we know Tennessee lost their coach. The Bears, I don't know. Were they a good defensive team last year? Well, they were 22. See, in the NFL, there's a bunch of 22, 23, 24s. Then you get a few like KC and Baltimore at 17. And then you get your Lions at 31. Washington at 31. Detroit's at 30. So you got a few outliers, but a lot of them are 21, 22, 23, which doesn't mean anything. That's why they can't score in this league. There's so many bad offenses. Because you have no intelligent people, so they're all just copying off of what the other guy does. But the defenses see it every week. They know what to do with it. It's like my analogy in baseball. So now you've got all the pitchers throwing 95 miles an hour. It's easily hittable because I see it every day, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 95. And then they make a big deal. He threw a 97 or 98. Well, it's not a big deal. If I'm seeing 95 every day, I got my timing down. And here comes a guy 97. Okay, I drop earlier, but I've got my timing down. And then all the sliders, and then all the pitchers go out. But the point is, if I see the 95 every day, I can hit it. And all these coaches are just idiots, and they run the same offenses, the wide receiver screen and all this shit. And then they don't run the ball except for Kansas City and San Francisco. And so everybody knows how to defend the team. Then there's no scoring because it's the same plays. As soon as you see the lineup, they know what the play's coming. They defense it. And really stupid coaching. That's why you see 7 or 8 coaches fired every year. All right. So the Bears in Tennessee, 22 defenses, but our Tennessee coach is gone, which I can't believe. So you got a new idiot coach at Tennessee, like he's going to do something. And 2 22s on defense. Caleb, if you're not going to play him in the preseason, do you expect him in the first game in the pros to do anything? Really? Why would you think that? This is not the USC bullshit offense, system offense where they just run and shoot. With Lincoln Riley, all the quarterbacks are good in college. They get in the pros, they all suck. So I'm not sure what people are thinking, that you're not really going to play Caleb in the preseason. You think practice speed is good enough for him, not worried about getting hit or sacked or reading a blitz. He's just going to come in week 1 and Tennessee won't blitz him and he'll be fine. Yeah, we've seen him against Notre Dame. We see him against UCLA. Pressure defenses, and he sucked. What do you think the NFL is going to do? Tennessee will blitz them every time. At least they should. So I don't know what you're thinking that Caleb is playing Colorado or playing, you know what, well, he's on USC. He's playing Washington or, you know, I honestly, you know, I don't know what they're thinking. He's got to get out there. He should be playing at least a half in these preseason games. He's not very good, and he's not had in this environment with a professional. We don't want to get him hurt. Well, you ain't going to win if you don't play him. So if you're going to not play him in the preseason, you don't have to worry about him getting hurt. You're not going to win a game. Or maybe it'll take 8 or 9 games for him to get used to it because you're wasting these 3-4 weeks. Well, you got 4 weeks of exhibition, and you're not going to play him. And you'll just throw him out there, and it'll be no problem. Except for Peyton Manning couldn't do it, Brady couldn't do it. Joe Montana was not very good his first year. Marino was the exception. Elway sucked. All the superstars couldn't do it the first year. Brett Favre wasn't anything. Aikman sucked. You know, well, Steve Young always sucked, but Montana. So, I mean, these teams, it takes a year or two to get used to it. And you're going to throw Caleb out there with no preseason practice. Wow. Why is this guy coaching? He should be fired. And if you're sitting there going, we're afraid to get him injured, then you're not going to win too many games. Look at Bryce Young. He didn't play preseason probably last year. And did they win a game? Oh yeah, they beat CJ Stroud somehow. All right. So big mistake. The trend is a tiny trend on the Bears at home. And they both have 22 defenses. Levis against Caleb. Yeah, I don't know where the points are going to come from. We don't even know Tennessee's coach, and the Bears coach sucks, so we'll see. Houston, 248 to Indy. We got C.J. Stroud against Richardson. We've got Indy with the 24 defense, Houston with the 21 defense. Now, I was reading Richardson's ready to go, I guess. Had shoulder surgery, had a concussion in college, which I was reading about his injuries. So the theory here is, well, he's a good runner. So we're going to use him because he's a good runner. At Florida, he was a good runner. So he drafted him because he's a good runner, not a good quarterback. And he needs help throwing. His accuracy sucks. Okay, so he runs around a little bit. What's he do in the red zone? They're going to blitz him in the red zone, and he can't throw. He plays 4 games, rips up his shoulder, has shoulder surgery. We've already seen Lamar. He doesn't win. He runs the ball. Well, Richardson was good at Florida. No, he wasn't. He sucked at Florida, but he could run. So you're basically getting a quarterback in the draft because he's a good runner, which probably makes sense why Hartman wasn't drafted, because he's a great pocket passer, but he's not a runner. And that's probably why they didn't like Bo Nix. He's not. Well, Bo Nix does run, but he runs smartly. It's in the pocket. If there's nothing there, he sneaks out and gets 5-10 yards. But he's not a runner, but he's a damn good quarterback. Same thing with Penix. This is why these guys fall. They're screwed up. The GMs are going, I need a guy who can run. Because when it goes back and there's nobody open, they can run for yards. And it's like, no, if you have a good quarterback, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Marino, those guys never ran. They could find the openings. And that's what Penix does. He'll lay the ball out there 40 yards on the dime, hit the guy in the numbers. But these guys can't do it. Richardson can't do it. Lamar can't do it. This is the problem. So they drafted him because he could run. And you wonder why Indy sucks every year. What are they thinking? Do they think this is the way to win, is have a quarterback who can run? He's an athlete, but he can't throw. We've seen Mike Vick. He didn't win any games. We've seen Lamar. He's won 2 playoff games in what, 8, 9 years now? Then we see, well, wait a minute, look at Joe Burrow. He doesn't run. Look at Mahomes. He doesn't run. Very, very rarely. He'll run for 5 yards, but he's trying to hit Kelsey downfield or Rice or or handing to Pacheco or whatever. He doesn't run. And they win the Super Bowls. Purdy doesn't run, and he's in the Super Bowl. Stafford doesn't run. So the pocket passers is the key. But you want to go to the athlete. Big mistake. It's not like they win. Donovan McNabb was a very good thrower who kind of ran. He didn't run too much. He couldn't win. He got to the championship game a bunch and lost. You need a quarterback. You need Mahomes and Burrow. That's what you need. So Hartman should have been drafted way up in the first round. J.J. McCarthy, why the fuck did you draft him? And Drake May, what the fuck you draft? He's got a good arm. Yeah, so does Josh Allen. And how does Josh Allen do? Oh, yeah, as soon as they blitz him, he can't out, or he wants to run. And how many times has Josh Allen been in the Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, none. You need Mahomes style. You need a guy who can throw accurately. You need a quarterback because you're paying these guys all sorts of money as your receivers now. Jefferson, $110 million. Tyreek Hill just got a raise. I don't know why you're paying Tyreek Hill so much. And then they're like, well, Tagliabue needs to be paid. No, you can't. You're paying Tyreek Hill $100 million. You can't pay 2 guys like that, then you won't have anybody else. Then your defense sucks and your linemen suck because you can't skew it with paying. You can't pay your receivers this much money. It doesn't work because you got to pay the quarterbacks, and most of the quarterbacks you're overpaying. They're not worth it. Yeah, Daniel Jones on the Giants. Yeah, he's worth $35 million. Are you kidding me? Wow. All right, so Richardson is playing, but he sucks, and he's trying to pass. Houston, 21 defense, India 24. There's no trends. Over under 48. Stroud, but against Indy, he should do good. See, Stroud against Indy will do good. Against Baltimore, the 17 defense, he didn't show up. They got 3 points. 7 on a punt return, but 3 points. He got 3 points. Baltimore made him look terrible. That's the difference. So against the good defense, he doesn't show up. But against the weak defense like Indy, he'll show up. Will they win? I don't know, but he'll show up and they'll score points because Indy doesn't have a defense. Terrible coaching. The whole thing, Irsay, he's an idiot. All right, Arizona, Buffalo. Buffalo is 6.5 and 48. We got Kyler Murray against Josh Allen. We have a small Buffalo trend at home. Buffalo with an 18 defense. And that was without Von Miller, so I don't know if he's playing or not, but he's old anyway. Arizona with a 27 defense. So what is this class? What do you analyze out of that? Josh Allen will have a huge day because he's facing a 27 defense. Well, professor, but they drafted free agent. Did their defense get better? I doubt it. I don't even know if they have the same coach. But the coach they have is terrible, and their defense is terrible. So it's all Kyler Murray and they got the Connor from Pittsburgh, the running back, maybe a receiver. See, they don't go to defense. They go sign we need help for Kyler Murray. Let's sign two wide receivers like Miami. So they get Hill and they got Waddle and they got Tagliabue, but they don't have a defense. That's what Arizona has. So we need help for the quarterback, but we're not going to help our defense. You're not going to win any games. So Buffalo should score, 40 points in this game against the 27 defense. Murray against this 18 defense, but we wonder how good it is. But they're at home. I would be surprised if Buffalo were to lose this game. Very small trend on Buffalo as a home favorite. Here you can go back 2 or 3 years because Josh Allen and the coach has been there 3 or 4 years. Murray's now the coach hasn't been there, but Murray's been there. So that does skew up Arizona a little bit. But it's the 27 defense I'm looking at, and Josh Allen's eyes will be, they'll score a lot here. Cincinnati, New England, Cincinnati 9, 42.5. Looks like Brissett against Joe Burrow. New England 6-1 as a road dog, but that's with Belichick and that's with Mac Jones, not with Brissett and whoever the coach is. Burrow 7-1 as a home favorite. That makes sense. He's been there with the coach, and they were 13-2 as a home favorite. So they play very well as a home favorite with Burrow, and I believe the coach, whoever the coach is. I don't know who their running back is. They lost their running back. But the guy from Oklahoma, I never liked him anyway. Defensively. So they still have Chase and they have T. Higgins, good tight end. Have they fixed their offensive line? I would hope so. And then it's their defense, which is pretty good. And with Burrow, they know just play good defense will win the game. So it's a mental thing too. So New England had a 22 defense last year, but that's Belichick. He's gone. So we don't know what it's going to be this year. Cincinnati had a 23 defense last year. That's without Burrow. What does that matter on defense? Because the defense plays a little stronger when they know they can win. So Burrow will make the whole team better. New England, this is going to be a long season. So you can't use any of the stats or the trends for until the first 3 games. So the 22 defense is it's a Belichick 22. It's like Nick Saban gone. I can't use Alabama's defense. 40 other players left between getting drafted and transferring. I mean, what the fuck is that? So all I can say is Brissett's average quarterback, Burrow superstar, and Burrow should not have any problem against New England. How are they going to cover Chase? Good luck. We'll see who their running back is, but Burrow is healthy for now. Knock on wood. So Burrow is the key. He's the best player in the game, and then Chase, and they're both on Cincinnati. So this new coach never coached before. Mayo, I think it was a linebacker for New England. Never coached before. Yeah, we'll make him have. They got 21 assistants. You know how stupid that is? So that's like, well, I don't know. You make it. He says, no, you make it. No, you need a leader. You think Vince Lombardi would listen to his assistant coaches? No way. You got to have a leader take charge, which they don't have. New England probably won't win a game next year. All right, Atlanta Pitt. Atlanta 2.5, 43. We've got Russell Wilson. I guess he hurt his foot, but I would imagine he'll play against Cousins/Penix. His Cousins' Achilles healed. And then now Penix is by far the better quarterback here. If Atlanta's smart, they'll start playing on, like I said, about week 4, week 5. If Cousins isn't ready to go or close, I'd start Penix. Again, give him some playing time in the preseason in 4 or 5. Give him 4 or 5 games and then get him in there and get Cousins out of there. We've seen enough Cousins at Washington, at Minnesota. He sucks. Okay. He had Jefferson and he couldn't do anything. The fuck, you lose to the Giants in a playoff game with Jefferson? Fuck, what are you kidding me? So I don't say Cousins isn't the answer. Cousins was a mistake. They didn't think they'd get Penix, so they traded for Cousins. And then when Penix was available, that was their guy the whole time. So, but they had to do insurance. So that was a smart move actually by Atlanta, but I'd expect Penix to be starting week 4 or 5. Russell Wilson against Fields, we'll see. Defense, Pittsburgh a 19 and Atlanta a 22. Pittsburgh always with a good defense. TJ Watt, there you go. Atlanta with the 22 is always kind of a weak defensive team. they've never really had good coaching, and they went to the Super Bowl with Shanahan, who's the coach of San Francisco, who's a choke. But you've seen this a lot. So you see Atlanta with really no coaching, right? They had Matt Ryan, who probably with a good coach could have done all right, but they got nothing there. So, um, and I don't know what to say. I think it should be a pretty close game, but I don't know. I mean, it could get out of hand. If Russell Wilson plays, he's the best quarterback on the field. They got the best defense and they got the best coach. So, anyway, over under 43. With these defenses, I think we know what to do there. We can't look at trends since Russell Wilson wasn't in Pitt before and Cousins and Penix weren't in Atlanta. So trends are useless for these two teams. So, do you want to bet the Pitt defense? Maybe. Pitt is a dog, maybe. We'll got to see how Russell Wilson, if he's ready to go. Carolina, New Orleans. New Orleans 5 and 40.5. We got Steve Young going against Derek Carr. We've got New Orleans with the 19 defense, Carolina with the 25. So Carr should have a good day. Young will have his typical 10 of 21 and 2 picks. Play against Carolina as a road dog was 9-0 last year, and they were 17-0 play against overall. So they didn't cover one game in a teaser. They did beat Houston, but it was like a 1-point spread. So if you took Houston in 5, you won. So basically, you just bet against Carolina, which is kind of like betting against the White Sox. You bet against them because they've lost 18, 19 in a row, whatever the number is. And here, Carolina didn't cover once last year. Young's going to be in against a tough defense in New Orleans, and Carr should have a better game going against a 25 Carolina defense. Did they make enough changes? You can't just make a change. Like I keep hearing with the Lions, well, they drafted these 2 cornerbacks. It takes a year for the cornerback to understand the system and the speed. What's the cornerback from Alabama going to do against Jefferson? Nothing. He hasn't seen a guy like Jefferson. Are you kidding me? We saw what LSU did to Alabama, in the playoff game when Burrow won everything. They couldn't even stand. They weren't even close to the guys. So don't tell me you got an Alabama rookie. Yeah, he's not going to do anything. And again, if the Lions don't play their starters, they're in big, big fucking trouble. They think you can just walk out on the field and practice and you're ready for a game. Are you out of your mind? So, where am I at? So, it should be all New Orleans here. I mean, at home, better quarterback, better defense. Carolina hasn't covered in 2 years. I mean, okay. Miami, Jacksonville. Miami 3.5 and 49. Where are we? Line stayed. We got Trevor Lawrence against Tagliabue. We got Jacksonville with the 22 defense, Miami with the 23, and I bet it's not that good. They lost some defense. They got Tyreek Hill, so they're going to score on the 22 defense. Jacksonville is 11-1 as a road dog the last few years, which you can use. You've had Lawrence and the coach, I think, 2 or 3 years. So you had Urban Meyer, and then they switched coaches. So I think the last 2 years you've had this new coach. And Tagliabue, I mean, Miami's coach is terrible. He's a good offensive mind, I guess, but he doesn't realize we have defense too. Doesn't know anything. He's not a good coach. So again, but they'll score a lot, except for against the good defense. What happened in the playoffs? Oh yeah, they lost 26-7 to Kansas City because they don't have a running attack and they don't have a defense. You got to have a defense to win in the league and play in the playoffs, right? You've got to have that. And a good quarterback. That's Baltimore's problem. They have the good defense. They don't have the quarterback. KC's got the good defense and the quarterback, as does Cincinnati. That's why they do well in the playoffs. The 49ers, great defense, and they got McCaffrey to help Purdy out. Purdy wasn't bad. Purdy's really good. Stafford, same thing. The Rams had Aaron Donald and Stafford. Donald's retired. They'll have that. We'll get to that in a minute. So what do we got here? 23 and a 22 defense. Lawrence, he's average. Tag. He's better at home, and against Jacksonville's 22 defense, I think he'll do okay. He's going to struggle against the Baltimores, the Kansas Cities, the Pittsburghs, the Buffaloes, New Orleans, Dallas, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Frisco, and probably the Jets's. All these teams with that under 20 defense, just bet against Tagovailoa. They're going to blitz him. He's going to throw 3 picks. But you're looking for him against the Lions and San Diego and Carolina. The 25-30 defense is what you're looking for. Washington. Then he'll accelerate, especially at home. And that's what you want. That's why we look at the defense. So you got Tagovailoa against a weak defense. Yeah, he's going to light it up with Tyreek Hill and everything. And they won't put too much pressure on him. That's why they're weak defenses. They got to blitz. But that's okay to blitz because you can't just send 4 guys and play a zone. Yeah, that'll really work. All the good teams blitz. KC, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Frisco, Dallas, Micah Parsons. But they don't have a star on it. The problem with Miami, so I just named you Micah Parsons and Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa. That's why these teams win. Who does Miami have? They don't have. They're more interested in getting Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Excuse me. It's just a piece of bread. Tyreek Hill and Waddle than they are getting good defense, which is why they don't win. So your most important players are your defensive players and your quarterback, not your wide receivers. Do you need Tyreek Hill to win? Absolutely not. You can find a guy out of USC, Utah, Oregon, Washington, and win with them much easier than paying Tyreek Hill $30 million. Oh, and by the way, we don't have anybody on defense. This is Miami's problem. This was, it just goes down. You have to have that down. That's why Lawrence Taylor won. They had Phil Simms. They won with Phil Simms and Jeff Hostetler because they had Lawrence Taylor. The Packers, Nitschke and Willie Davis and Herb Adderley and those guys in Pittsburgh, Joe Green, Lambert, Ham, Andy Russell, L.C. Greenwood, Mike Wagner, my favorite. That's why they won. Look who their stars were. They won with Bradshaw, who sucked. But they did have Swan and Franco Harris. They just had the complete team, which is very rare. Green Bay had it too. But that's the blueprint. So who does it? The 49ers had Montana, but they had Hacksaw Reynolds and Ronnie Lott. And all of a sudden they had a great defense. And then the 85 Bears. I mean, what a great defense that was. Those are the teams that win, is the teams with the good defensive players, right? And then you got LT, and then you got Dallas with all that, and then New England only won, even though they had Brady, when they had a 1 or 2 defense. Baltimore with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. That's how you win in the league, right? Since 1960, that's how you win in the league, right? The Packers all the way through. It's always been a strong defense. And the ironic part is Miami with Don Shula won because he had Larry Zonka and this great defense. Then he gets Marino, and he never gets a defense again, and he doesn't run anymore, and he never wins. He goes to Marino, but he's passing the ball. You never rest your defense. And then he'd get receivers for Marino instead of getting Jack Ham and Jack Lambert and Joe Green and those players. That's the problem. So what does Pittsburgh do now? They get, TJ Watt and try to get Joe Green and try to get Mike Wagner and those guys. And that's what Pittsburgh understands is we got to have that killer defense. But teams like the Lions and these passing teams don't get it, right? We'll pay a lot for our receivers and our line, but you're missing the defense. You don't have any defense. Their defense sucks. The defensive coordinator sucks. You can't win. You're doing it backwards. You need to get the killer defense. You need the Ronnie Lotts and the Mike Singletaries and the Joe Greens and the Lamberts and the Hams. That's how you win. But what is Miami, Detroit? No, we'll get offense and we'll get receivers for the Tagovailoa, we need Tyreek Hill for him to be good. And look what Chicago's doing. Oh yeah, we'll draft Rome Odunze. He's going to see 2 passes this year because you got what is it, CJ whatever. I can't think the name. And then you got Keenan Allen. So wait, we got receivers for Caleb, who we don't even know can quarterback. How about our defense? Do you have a defense? I don't know. I think they got one guy from Washington or something, Sweat, or one of the linebackers. They have fairly good defense. You didn't need Rome Odunze. You'd have been much better off with another Joe Green or Jack Lambert type on defense, not Rome Odunze. You don't need 3 receivers. You don't need 2. You didn't need Keenan Allen. I'm sure you could have got a guy from Oregon or Washington and put him out. Well, they did get Odunze, but I mean in the 3rd or 4th round. Nobody from Michigan. These Alabama receivers never work out. But Tennessee has good receivers, or God knows in the Big 12 between Kansas and Kansas State and TCU. Yeah, you'll find receivers there. But you don't need to pay a receiver $30 million. You don't need Odunze, and that's a huge mistake. You needed to beef up your defense because Caleb is not going to win you any games. He didn't show it last year. I mean, what are you're watching the games last year, and he didn't do it. He didn't show up. He struggled against Arizona. He struggled against Notre Dame. He struggled against UCLA. What do you think he's going to do here? Oh, he made good plays in that offense. Everybody, Jalen Hurts looked good in that offense. Come on. It's a gimmick offense. It's a system that isn't run in the NFL. Now, if Lincoln Riley was his coach here, it still wouldn't work, but he'd be better at it. But again, Lincoln Riley doesn't believe in defense, which is why he never wins. So anyway, back to Miami, no defense, no winning. I think he'll have a good day against Jacksonville, but overall, as soon as he plays the big boys, he's 26-7 to Kansas City in a playoff game. Yeah, okay. All right, the worst game of the day, Minnesota and the Giants. I got both teams favored by 1 and 41.5. We've got Sam Darnold against Daniel Jones. We've got a 21 defense in Minnesota, a 24 defense in the Giants. Giants are in big trouble. Now, looking at last year only, which I can't even look at Minnesota last year. They were 5-0 as a road dog, 15-2 overall. But again, new quarterback in Darnold. Jones didn't play last year. They really don't have much of a thing. So Minnesota's 21 defense should be even better against Jones, and then Darnold sucks. How is Darnold? Darnold's your starter. You draft J.J. McCarthy and you don't take a look at Hartman, and we wonder who's your GM, and he's still working there. This is like the head of the Secret Service, and she's still working there. The bullshit she did. Oh, it's a cover up because George Soros and Larry Fink wanted to kill him, so she can't say anything. I mean, that's what you got here. You got an idiot GM in Minnesota that you're starting Darnold ahead of Hartman, and you drafted J.J. McCarthy. Okay, this guy he's Secret Service. He has no idea what he's doing in his job. He should be fired, but you just hired him, and he doesn't know what he's doing. So this is a game where, what do I say? If you have good quarterbacks, you're going to get points. If you have bad quarterbacks, you're probably not going to get points. So we'll see. Neither defense is really that good. The Giants 24. They played Dallas twice and lost 45-0. But Minnesota can't do that. They don't have the offense to. All they got is Jefferson. So poor Jefferson. Hopefully he can go join Joe Burrow and Chase when he's a free agent. But they just re-upped him, so I don't know if that's going to happen. So we will see. It's a pathetic game. It really is. All right. Denver, Seattle. We got Seattle 5 and 42.5. We got Bo Nix against Geno Smith. Both defenses were 24 last year. Look for Sean Payton in his second year to get Bo Nix comfortable. Look for Geno Smith, who is really weak. They have everything on offense. I mean, they got Kenneth Walker, and they got the guy from UCLA, Charbonneau. They got Tyler Lockett and Metcalf at receiver. And the problem is Geno Smith's not good, but they think he is. See, here's the problem. Geno Smith's not really good, but instead of drafting a quarterback or moving up for Penix or something, they stay with Geno Smith, and they'll be mediocre again. You lost Coach Pete, which I have no idea why. Now, here's some stats we could use. Play against home favorite. Seattle was 16-1 with Coach Pete and Geno Smith. So, again, Seattle's a lousy home favorite. Overall, 15-2 for Denver, I think. Or was it play against Seattle? Either way, I think it's no, play against Seattle was 15-2. But again, Coach Pete's not there, but the rest of the team is. So the coordinator was, I think, an offensive coordinator at College Washington, I think. I wouldn't put too much stock in the offensive coordinator. It was DeBoer. It's like signing the New England assistant coaches. It was all Belichick. The assistants never did anything. That's why they were terrible coaches other ways. It's the same thing here. It's all DeBoer on offense. You hire his offensive coordinator. He don't know shit. You watch DeBoer's offense at Alabama will be smoking hot. It's just like Sonny Dykes at TCU. These good offensive, the guy at Tennessee, it's the head coach. It is not the assistants. So to hire the assistant offensive coordinator from Washington is a waste of time. And I don't know who the head coach is, but to get rid of Coach Pete, you got to be out of your mind. He was like the best coach in the league. I mean, it's just ridiculous. All right, San Diego and Oakland. We got San Diego's 3 and 42.5, down from 43. We got Minshew for Oakland against Herbert. He is injured, but is should be playing in a month. We'll see. Hurt his foot. Oakland with the 20 defense, Max Crosby. San Diego with the 23. So Harbaugh comes in and immediately signs the defense and drafts the defense. Lets his receivers go, and his Eckert, the running back, Keaton Allen. What the fuck's he doing? They don't draft Brock Bowers, which is a huge mistake, and they draft a lineman, big fucking deal. And then it ain't going to help when you're going against Crosby. You can have all the linemen you want. You're not going to run on them. And then it's going to leave you, who are you going to throw it to? Oh, Lance McConkey from Georgia. You had Brock Bowers. So what do you think you're going to do with McConkey? He was okay. He got hurt a lot last year. I didn't think he was Lynn Swann. He was no superstar. That's your best receiver. So San Diego's in trouble. They're not going to score a lot. These will be low scoring. He'll probably play the Michigan defense, which is attack with 6 guys, which NFL will eat them up. Oakland, Minshew, he's a decent quarterback. He's not really good. Herbert's a very good one, but now he's on the wrong team. He's on a team that doesn't have offense. So I look for Oakland's defense to get better than 20, and I look for San Diego's defense to get much better than 23. It'll probably be 17, 18. But they won't score. So I'm San Diego will be an under team next year. So will Oakland. Oakland last year 6-1 as a road dog, 29-5 overall play against San Diego. However, you can't use any of the trends because now you got Harbaugh there. Harbaugh wasn't there. They had a terrible coach last year. And Oakland, now you got Minshew and Aaron Pierce, who coached 5-6 games. So again, I can't use trends, so I got to look at defense, and I see that Harbaugh will bring in his 49er defense probably, and Oakland has Max Crosby, so they got a great defense, and Aaron Pierce was a defensive lineman. I actually saw an older game with the Giants, and Aaron Pierce was playing, so I don't know what kind of coach he's going to make, but we'll see. So not it'll be a defensive game, I think. Dallas, Cleveland. We got Cleveland 1.5, 43.5. We got Prescott against Watson or Thompson Robinson. Not sure who is that. We got a 19 defense in Dallas and a 21 defense in Cleveland. Terrible coach. Dallas's coach is terrible. Cleveland's coach looks pretty good. They made a lot of strides. We know they got Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons. They'll be the best players on the field. Prescott, if he plays, figure 3 interceptions. Watson, figure 3 completions. Thompson Robinson's kind of weak. Figure they're going to run Nick Chubb a lot, but he's going to run into Micah Parsons. So this is going to be, defensive-oriented game. Before I would automatically, Dallas is getting points, but I don't. With Prescott, I just, in this Cleveland defense, I don't think it's an automatic take Dallas as the dog. So anyway, we'll see what happens there. Deshaun Watson's terrible. I mean, you can't take 2 years off, and he does the sexual harassment thing. He's not going to be good. I mean, he sucked last year and keeps getting hurt. Why don't they just cut him? He's not what he was at Clemson, so I don't get that. Move on from him. Sometimes you got to just let it go and move on. Like the Tigers with Cabrera, just let him go. The guy can't hit 200. The last 4 years he sucked. They kept paying him. Just like Happy Baez. I mean, it's the same thing. The guy's hitting like 160. Let him go. What do you keep torturing yourself? You're paying the guy 20. See, the owner's really cheap. The owner doesn't want to pay him. He doesn't want to pay him off. He's just, we got so renegotiate with the guy. Say, you want to play? I'll give you $2 million a year. And if you don't like it, goodbye. Anyway, Washington, Tampa 3.5, 4, and 41.5. We got Jalen Daniels, LSU, going against Baker Mayfield. We've got Washington with a 31 defense against Tampa with a 19 defense. Tampa 7-1 play against. Okay, Washington 7-1 play against as a road dog. Play against Washington 16-1. Tampa Bay is 16-3 overall. So Tampa's 16-3 last year. Play against Washington was 16-1. However, now we got Daniels, so we got a new quarterback. So that's going to change. So that's the problem. It's you can't really look at the trend. We can look at Tampa's because Baker's been there, I think, 2 years. And the coach, the worst coach in the league. This coach is terrible. But they got to the play. Yeah, you beat Carolina and Atlanta, like Whippy. So Baker should have a good day going against the 31 defense. Probably still a terrible defense. I don't even know who their coach is. Daniels is in a bad situation. He'll basically just be running for his life. He'll make some big plays. Good quarterback, but the ironic thing is Hartman was in. I don't know if they signed Hartman or not. I think they did as the backup or the third stringer. I don't know what's wrong with Hartman except for he's not a running quarterback, but he's a great quarterback. It'd be like saying, well, Joe Montana, you're not a good runner. Yeah, he's the best quarterback that ever played, or Brady, and they're not runners. Yeah. How many Super Bowls did they win? Isn't that the idea? Is to have a quarterback, not a runner. So really ridiculous. All right. Detroit, 3.5, 51 to the Rams. We got Stafford against Goff. We got a 22 defense in LA and a 30 defense in Detroit. We have Aaron Donald gone, but they've brought in a bunch of defensive help, so we'll see. I think they'll be pretty good defensively. We like their coach, Sean McVay. The Lions were 8-2 as a home favorite, which works because you have the coach and Goff there, and 16-4 overall last year. But the Rams with Stafford are a much better team, and Pukanuka, I don't think he played the whole year. Maybe he did, but you just started to notice him. So again, Stafford should light up Detroit like he did in the playoff game with the 30 defense. Goff, if they put pressure on him, he'll choke. Goff's a choke. He's not really that good. He's good when he has time in the pocket. They gave him a good offensive line. Again, Detroit did what Miami did. They really got a good offensive line. The receivers are okay. The running backs are okay. Nothing special. And he goes back and he has time and he hits the receiver, St. Cloud, and the tight end's pretty good. They got lucky with their tight end. And that's it. Montgomery from the Bears was okay runner, but he's always hurt. These Alabama guys, they're terrible. So you really don't have that, but then you've neglected the defense because you wanted to give Goff time, so you got all these high-round offensive linemen. Big, where was that against the Niners? And then, so against the good defensive teams, they're not going to do anything. Look at the Baltimore game last year, 38-3. So the problem was you don't have a defense. So when you face a good offense, and the Rams are a good offense, they're going to be in trouble. And with the 30 defense, Stafford should light it up. And last but not least, the JETSs against the Niners. We got 5.5, 44.5. The Niners favored. We've got Rodgers against Purdy. So if Rodgers plays, this is a very close game. The Jets with the 21 defense, the Niners with an 18. Believe me, if Rodgers plays, the defense will be much better because Rodgers will move the ball and to give the defense a chance to rest. And Saleh knows the 49ers being their defensive coordinator. So look for that. This will be a very good game, very live dog, very competitive. Don't sell the Jets short with Rodgers and this defense. I mean, and a good coach. So that's what you want. So that is Pro Football Week 1. Now the teaser trends. Well, it's hard. I can't use Minnesota. Okay, the play teams, Minnesota, Tampa, LA, Oakland, Kansas City, San Diego, and Seattle. The play against teams that you bet against, Seattle, Kansas City, San Diego, Arizona, Washington, Philly, Carolina, and Atlanta. But we can't use Minnesota because now they got Darnold. Tampa Bay we can use. The Rams, we can use. Oakland, I think we can use. Kansas City, we definitely can use. San Diego, hard to say we can use. And Seattle, hard to say because they don't have Coach Pete anymore. The play against Seattle, again, they don't have Coach Pete. KC, yes. San Diego, can't. Arizona, we can. Washington, going to be hard with Daniels. Philadelphia, new coordinators, but I think we can. Carolina, we can. In Atlanta, so you almost got to look at that and just say we can't use most of it between new coordinators, coaches going, and new quarterbacks. So I got Washington. Well, now they got Jalen Daniels. I don't even know who their coach is. So when I look at it, maybe they'll be better. Maybe you can't play against them. What you're looking for are the weak teams, the Z teams, the bad defensive teams, like the Giants, Minnesota now, Tampa. We'll see about Atlanta. All Atlanta has to do is start Penix, and they'll win. But are they that stupid? I think they are that stupid. Let's see. Who is this? Jenna. So I didn't get a text from her in the morning, but I'm sure she was out having fun. She's in Belen. So the problem is the coaches are so stupid and the GMs are even dumber. They think like Miami, well, we'll get wide receivers. That'll be the key. We'll have a quarterback, but he needs help. Well, wait a minute. Your team needs a defense if you want to win a game. You can, if you don't stop the other team, you're not going to win. Miami, Detroit, and Carolina, and Houston, and Indy. That's why we look for the best defenses. That's who we want to bet on. So this is why we hunt for defense. It's very hard to beat KC because you got a killer defense and Mahomes and Kelsey and Pacheco. They've added a few other receivers. Very hard to beat Cincinnati when Burrow is playing. Very hard to beat San Francisco. Very hard to beat the Rams. Very hard to beat Baltimore, except their weak link is Lamar. But they're too stupid to realize their weak link is Lamar. I don't know why they think he's so good. He really can't pass. All he does is run, and when you play a good defense, they take the run away. Look at Kansas City. He got, what did he get? 3 points. That's all Lamar got in that game was 3. He threw 1 touchdown, and the guy fumbled at the goal line on another one, which isn't Lamar's fault. But basically, he didn't do anything in the game. He couldn't score. Purdy got 19 on the Niners. Purdy's a better quarterback, but they don't want to, Lamar's an athlete. He can run. Well, I don't want a running quarterback. I want a quarterback who throws the fucking ball. So not sure what to do with that. But that's the NFL. So that's the problem. Trying to use trends is difficult because the variables change, which is exactly the point in the class. So if we're playing poker, but the player changes, so we're playing one guy and we get our trends on him. This is what he does when he raises and he checks. And if I bet what he does, you get all that down. And then a new player sits down. All those trends are gone. Now we got to do the new player. How does he play? And The same thing with girls. How do they play? How do they, you know, you say certain things, how do they react? And the reaction's different, right? So that's the thing in football. We've got so many changes that you've got to wait and see how the team is. Now, once we get the team, after like 3 weeks, we know, oh, this is how we need to play them. So in the beginning, we stick with KC and we stick with Baltimore and maybe Green Bay and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati with Burrow. And we understand Miami, that they have no defense. And so those teams that are pretty solid and aren't really changing, we can bet. It's what do we do with Indy and then Oakland and San Diego? It's the teams with the new coaches and quarterbacks. Denver, Cleveland, we don't know what's going on. Washington, New England, new coach and quarterback. The Bears. How do we play the Bears? Everybody just assumes. Why are they 4.5-point favorites? See, that's a popular number. That's not the free market number. I mean, why would they be 4.5-point favorites? Based on what? You haven't even seen Caleb play a pro game. He didn't look too good in college last year. So why are they 4.5? You got a new coach who absolutely sucks. You got a new offensive coordinator we don't know anything about. So that's the problem with why is Caleb 4.5-point favorites? Why isn't, you got Bo Nix, who's a 4.5-point dog to Seattle. Why is that? Where'd they get that line from? Oregon, Bo Nix would win the game, but they're not Oregon. Now he's Denver Broncos. And he's got Escanine, the running back from Notre Dame, big, powerful dude with Bo Nix. I think Denver's going to light it up. But I think when they get in the red zone, they hand it to Escanine. Guy's going to get 2-3 touchdowns a game. All right, so Green Bay with Love. Are they going to continue where they left off? As far as I know, all the receivers were young, and they had 5 of them. And Aaron Jones, the running back, should be healthy. You've got Philly. How's their new coaches going to do? We know Hurts. He's not very good. The defense is full of Georgia guys. You can't imagine why they're giving up 25 points a game. Pitt, you got Russell Wilson. Otherwise, everything's the same. Atlanta, get Penix in there. So that'll be interesting. The new quarterback, but if it's Cousins, we already know what Cousins is. Arizona should be similar. Buffalo should be similar. Tennessee, new coach. Chicago, new quarterback. New England, new coach, new quarterback. Cincinnati gets Burrow back. Houston, similar. Indy, Scott Richardson, not Minshew is going to be much worse. Jacksonville, Lawrence sucks. Miami, Tagovailoa, pretty mediocre teams. Carolina, we got Young. They're the worst. New Orleans should be better because, again, they didn't have Kamara to start. So they got Kamara and Olave and whoever they drafted last year. So they should be much better. Minnesota, Darnold, terrible. The Giants, Jones, terrible. Oakland, Minshew should be an up. He's decent. San Diego with Herbert, but you got Harbaugh. So we got to see. Oakland or Denver, Bo Nix, and Escanine, the running back for Notre Dame. Seattle, you got rid of Coach Pete. Dallas is terrible. Prescott, McCarthy's terrible. Cleveland, If it's Watson, if it's Thompson Robinson, we'll see. And they were winning with Joe Flacco. I mean, so we'll see. They have a good defense. Washington gets Daniels. Their coach sucks. Tampa Bay, their coach sucks. The Rams lost Aaron Donald, but Stafford, Pukanuka, a lot of good defense. So they should be very good. Detroit, terrible defense. Didn't change the defensive coordinator. Going to be in trouble. The Jets get Rodgers. Otherwise, they should be very good. And San Francisco is very good. So that's what we're going to learn is the first couple of weeks. All these teams with the rookie quarterbacks that don't use them in exhibition are just incredibly stupid. Worrying about injuries, really. In football, you're worried about injuries. Okay. Wow. So that's pros. That's week 1. And we'll cover as it progresses. We'll see. So we're waiting on. We had the interview Friday, so we should get some feedback Monday or Tuesday on this. I did very good. It's actually, I'm watching SQL on YouTube. There's a class, and it's a relational database. So it's like, here's all the teams, here's all the players. So you go, well, give me all the players that's on Kansas City. Give me all the quarterbacks in the league. And that's basically a relational database. So there's some primary key, and then you'd have by position quarterback, and then you go, okay, give me this table with all the quarterbacks only, and then it will list you all the quarterbacks from that team. That's a relational database. It's very easy. The programming part's a little bit confusing, but it's easy. Normally, I do it in Excel, and it's very easy because I'm good at figuring out what I need and then just filtering on it. So anyway, thought it went well. We'll see. And that's all we can do. Anyway, we got football coming up. So again, there'll be 2 classes. There'll be a pro class and a college class. So like here, I didn't give any picks, but I gave you picks in football and baseball. So the baseball style of picks is what I'll be giving you for the NFL and for college in the class. Class is $25, college $25 pro. And no, I won't in this format where it's free, I'm not giving picks. So you can ask for picks, I can't give it to you. You got to go to the class for that, or you can simply buy the picks as you've been doing the last 20 years. Teaserking.com, purchase picks. I'm buying the week, I'm buying the month, I'm buying the year. And we'll see what happens with that. But that's what we're going to do. So again, $25 is nothing. The normal week is $75 for pro, let's say. So you buy the class for $25. You don't have to be at the class, but you'll have access because you put in all the emails. So you'll have access to the video. And pros, I'll be more straightforward. Here's the game, here's the pick, and here's the lock, and here's the units. And I'll keep it to a half-hour class because we're really just going through the picks, and I won't get in as much detail. I'll get more detail in the free class, but not the picks. So I'll say, okay, take Chicago over New England. We're going to go 5 units or over unders, and we'll do that. So that's how it'll work. But you're free to ask questions. So you can say, who do you like here? Let's say I want to make a 5-team teaser. Okay, here's my top 5 teams, which you'll have all the picks anyway. But with dialogue, as opposed to just going to the purchase pick, paying $75 for the pros and just looking at the picks, which either way, this way you can converse with me. And, let's say you listen to other handicappers, shame on you. And they say, "Oh, take Cincinnati," and I don't like Cincinnati, and I'll not talk you out of it, but it's sort of like with gold. you guys are hearing all these other guys, and you say, well, how about Bitcoin? And how about stocks? I want to buy. And then we have a conversation about it. And I say, here's what I think. Do what you want, but I'm giving you the information so you can make a good decision. That's the key. So that's what you want to do. And that's what you'll do in class. So the first college one will be that week of the 24th with the 2 teams. And it'll do both weeks because it's the first week. So the 2 games, the 24th and then the 31st. So all that'll be week 1 in for class and on the Teaserking, and then we'll go. So it'll be probably college will be probably Friday afternoon or evening, and then Saturday morning. We'll look at line changes and if anything changed. But all the picks should be out Friday. The pros, I'll do a quick Wednesday for the Thursday night game. And then probably Friday night also to go through the Sunday, and then Sunday morning. So you'll have a couple of option classes. We'll go through the line. We'll go through the picks, injuries, stuff like that. So that's what's coming. Again, the baseball today on 8-4. We got Frisco over 9. The Yankees over 9. Washington over 9. Pitt, 3 unit. Baltimore, 3 unit. Detroit over 8.5, 3 unit. Minnesota, 3 unit. Houston over 8.5, 3 unit. Texas over 8, 2 unit. Philly under 7, 3 unit. San Diego over 8, 2 unit. And the Cubbies over 9, 3 units. Like it's hard to go against Philly, but 2 very strong pitchers. But as we see, just because they're strong pitchers, it's an average. So they might give up 8 runs, even though they got a 2.5 ERA. Now, sometimes they will do that. Sometimes they are true to form. But what I find is all over the place. I'll see a 5.0 pitcher and he shuts them out. I guess there was a no-hitter this week. I didn't even know anything about it until I heard it yesterday on the TV. But these games aren't on TV. It's absolutely a nightmare. How you don't have these games on TV is beyond stupid. That's going to kill your product when you want to be on TV. That's the point of advertising. So you want to be on all these, Apple Plus or Bally's or these off crazy things that cost $10 a month to get people to watch the game. Well, people don't do that because they're not. I'm going to the pool right after this. I'm not going to sit and listen to the game. I'm not going to be home for the game. And then you got all these afternoon games. Most people are working. They're not, so they can't see them. So it's really incredibly stupid what they're doing. You want them on a normal channel so people can watch it. That's how the NFL grew. It's on Fox and NBC and was on CBS a lot. CBS and Fox and NBC had pro football. Look at when the Heidi game came on and everybody was screaming bloody murder. So that made it, but TV made pro football. Vince Lombardi made pro football. But what you're doing to baseball is ridiculous. You're killing it. It's not on TV. I don't know what anybody looks like. I have no idea what anybody, who's who. Tarek Skubal. I can see him at the gym. I wouldn't know who he is. And it's ridiculous. So that's the problem. It's just really done stupidly for people at market. We'll make them buy Apple Plus or what's that, NBC, Peacock or whatever. We'll get them into that. We'll get them used to, like the Olympics are on Apple and Peacock. Who the fuck's watching Peacock? But why aren't the baseball should be on ABC, every night or something, or some offshoot cable channel that everybody gets. So you're not having that. It's just stupid. So anyway, yeah, we'll watch movies on Netflix. Well, I'm beginning to hate Netflix, but we'll watch it because I can watch it at 10 o'clock at night after I'm home, or like now during the day, I can turn on Netflix if I want. I know I have it, and it's one fee for the month, but the baseball games, you don't know, I'm not going to sit home and watch the Tigers. I'm going to the pool. What are you kidding me? I'm going to sit home to watch those guys. So I think that's the biggest problem with baseball. Then you disconnect with it because you're not watching it. And if you don't watch it, you don't know who's who, and you don't care. That's the biggest problem with baseball. But football, that's a difference. That's a different animal. I will, like, if I go to the pool, it's quickly, and then I come home to watch. So Saturdays, I'm home by 3:30 for the 3:30 game and the night game. You got it going all day. Why aren't you doing that with baseball? Why isn't Saturday and Sunday full of baseball? You got golf on, really? Tennis? Oh my God. So, I mean, Saturday should be 2 or 3 games, and Sunday should be 2. At least you have that. So maybe not all the games during the week. But again, football is once a week. But, of course, you have Ohio State, Oregon. Of course, that's going to be the 3:30 game on CBS or NBC or whatever. And everybody will watch it because it's on. And they'll make sure they watch it. But in baseball, I was watching Baltimore and Cleveland, but why isn't there a Saturday afternoon game and a Saturday night game and a Sunday afternoon? So why aren't you having that on? You're fucking, and that's why nobody cares about baseball now. So it's really stupid. Anyway, so as I was talking, brics and gold and COMEX. So gold, nobody gets. They don't get it's limited. They don't understand it. It's price fixed. JP Morgan. So because it's price fixed, nobody wants it because they don't think it moves. Why are they allowing it to be price fixed? Because it's the JP Morgans who are running it. See, people got to realize the banks run the government, not the other way around. The government's just figureheads. Biden or Trump, they don't do anything. Where it's the banks that run everything. And the banks, so what you have is JP Morgan, who runs the Fed, who has the monopoly on printing money, doesn't want to give up the monopoly by allowing gold to go up, and then people will start buying gold. But people buy gold because it's an asset, not really because it's money. I mean, you could just as easily buy Rolexes now for protection. So when Egon says, "Oh, it's for wealth preservation," why aren't you buying Rolexes for wealth preservation or Mickey Mantle cards for wealth preservation? Because they're priced in dollars. And gold, even though it's way, way, way undervalued, is money, and soon it'll still be priced in dollars for a little bit. Then it won't be priced in dollars, but the Rolex then needs to get priced in gold, and that's what'll happen. So the gold will be the key, but you still, for wealth preservation, should buy Rolexes and Mantle cards. Anything in paper you don't want because they're all going to go to zero, but a real asset like a Rolex will go to zero in dollars, but then get priced in gold, and that's just what happens. So again, it's confusing because most people are very clueless. They don't teach it. I got lucky. I had Austrian economics in my master's program, and I learned all this, and it turned my life around. Once I learned this, I go, oh my God, everything. Now then, Social Security was bankrupt. I mean, that was in the 90s, so I can't, how it's staying is beyond me, but that's where the debt comes from. We'll print more money to pay Social Security. We'll print more money for welfare, for Medicare, for all this. They just print and print and print. That's the inflation. You can't do that. You can only print as much. I don't know what the magic number for printing dollars is. That's okay. But I know if it's on the gold standard, you can only print as many dollars as you have gold for. And that tends to stabilize the currency. And that's really all you need. You just raise the price of gold and you're fine. That's the problem. So we are printing and printing and printing, but these idiots in charge, and JP Morgan, who wants to keep printing because he's got the monopoly, don't understand that you can't, that there's a point when it's worthless, and we're getting very close to it. That's why the bonds, the T-bills won't sell, because everybody knows. So what's happening is I'm China, Japan, Germany. I don't want your T-bills because they're worthless, because you've printed too much money. You have too much debt. How the hell are you going to pay me back? Right. So if I give you, 50 billion dollars for your T-bills, how are you going to pay me back? You don't have any money. And the money you pay me back will be inflated and worthless. So that's why all the central banks are buying gold. And China and Japan are getting out of their T-bills that they bought, and they're selling them back, saying, I don't want them. I want gold instead. Even though their economies are going to hell, because in the dollars they're going to hell, but not in the gold they have. So the economy themselves, it's the dollars, the medium of exchange, is worthless in the whole world, everybody. So I was listening to one idiot, and he says, oh, well, yeah, you buy gold, but then get into euros, or, dude, all the money's worthless. Anything printed, the euros and the Swiss francs and the British pounds are all worthless. You don't change into those dollars. I couldn't believe when I'm watching. It's like, you're watching this and they don't understand. You can't print and print and print without a problem. That's the problem. They don't understand that. I do understand that. And I've shown you where some people say the more you print, the less it's worth. That's what happens. The more cake you eat, the fatter you get. That's what happens. You can't eat the cake and not get fat. You can't print the money and not let it go to zero. So that's your biggest problem. And we'll see what happens. Gold, I think about 8:00 tonight. The Oriental Asia opens their exchange, and we'll see it. It was about 20. It was about 30. It was 24.50 roughly Friday. So we should see a 2,500 and maybe on our way to 2,600. Once it hits 2,500, then it, but it's people don't understand it. When you hear Yankee Doodle Dandy or some of these idiots talk about it, they don't get it. They don't get it's derivatives. It's got nothing to do with the market. It's got nothing to do with they're taking profit taking or consolidation. It's derivatives. When the derivative goes from 2,400 to 2,500, they'll sell the derivative at 2,500, like Eddie Murphy, and they want the price to go down. And when it gets down a little bit, they then buy it to go up. So that's all that happens. It's not consolidation. It's they're doing a put option because it's at 2,500. They want it to go down. It just jumped up, and a lot of the options are out. They've been played, so they go and short it because the price jumped. And it's just all options. It's just that's all it is. There's nothing else. Hey, Bobby Bo. Well, you're at the end of it. I did baseball and NFL. What can I help you with? What is Eddie Murphy in that movie? I heard Professor often bring it up. Oh, it's a great movie. You should watch it. It's called Trading Places. Yeah. So what he does, it's a stupid premise that they Duke and Duke, these millionaires who run the trading company. Eddie Murphy's just a scam artist, and Dan Aykroyd is the manager of this trading company, and they trade Comex, so it's orange juice and gold and stuff like that. And Eddie Murphy is just a bum outside and accidentally runs into Dan Aykroyd, and they throw him in jail. And then the Dukes go, well, let's make a bet that we can trade places and put Eddie Murphy in with no education, and he can run our firm. And we'll see if Dan Aykroyd then, becomes a criminal. That's the trading places part. So Dan Aykroyd becomes a criminal, and Eddie Murphy miraculously starts knowing how to do trading. He says, you guys are a couple of bookies, which they are. They made commission If you bought orange juice or you sold orange juice, they made commission. So yes, they are bookies. So they get the crop report. They see this guy, Clarence Beeks, who's the guy from Die Hard, the police captain, who's a real idiot. And he's going to get the orange juice report before it's public. And so they go and take it. So they know the orange juice is fine. And they switch it with the Duke and Dukes. So Duke and Duke thinks there's a problem. So they go and start buying the options. It's at 102. It goes up to 142. Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd are doing the options, waiting, saying, okay, we're going to sell at 142. Maybe they sell at 128 or 130. They start selling, and here's Duke and Duke buying. So they're buying all that they're selling, but they know the report's good. And Duke and Duke think the report's no good, that the orange juice price will go up because there's been problems. So they end up with selling it at 142. Then they flash the orange juice report. The secretary comes on TV for some reason, and he says, no, everything's fine. And then the price drops. So they sold it at 142. It goes down to 29, and they buy it at 29. So they bought at 29 and sold it already at 142. That's how you do an option. You can sell first and buy second, or you can buy first and sell second. Most stocks, you buy Amazon at 100 and you sell it at 120. But in an option, you can sell it first if you think the price is going to go down. So knowing there was no problem with the orange juice, they knew by trading it that they could sell it at the high price, and they know it's going to go down because the orange juice is fine. So therefore, supply didn't get interrupted. So therefore, there'd be no reason to do the price. It's that trading play. Yeah. I need to stop talking to family members, Professor. I know you can relate because we've talked about it. They can think for themselves. I got to check that movie out. It's a good movie. It was on Pluto, and then it's like on for a month. They take it off. Like, why would you take that kind of movie off? Where's it going? So yeah, it's a very good movie. You'll like it. Aykroyd's okay in it. Eddie Murphy's like the star of the, they're both the stars of the movie, but Eddie Murphy's very funny in it. The G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. So he's telling them that pork bellies are going to go down. And they go, why? And it's Christmas time. He goes, oh, I can feel it. The fathers want to, they want to buy the kids the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. So they want to sell the bacon so they don't lose money. It was hysterical. What happened with the family? They're getting on you for gold and silver again? Well, think about me, Bobby. My mom dies in October, so it's almost a year, and nobody tells me. I remember seeing my ex at my Chinese carryout, and she just gives me this dirty look. Not hello, or it's nice to see you. How you been? She gives me a dirty look, and I start laughing, going, "Oh, fuck you! I don't care." That's probably it. I don't show up to the funeral. I don't know she died. So I then call the attorney and I go, "Do you know where she's buried?" And she sends me the death certificate. I don't need that. She's buried in fucking San Diego where my brother lives. So he shipped the body to San Diego and she's buried there. And it's, well, I'm not going to San Diego to see my mother. I would have went here, but I'm not going there. Just a great family I have. So no wonder my ex, where were you at the funeral? Which she probably was thinking, she didn't talk to me. But if I don't know about it, I can't go to a funeral. I don't know about it. And I don't know where it was. Was it in San Diego? Probably, because if you think about it, if he buried her there, then he flew the body to San Diego for the funeral. Because what do? You put it in the grave, you put it in the ground, and that's your funeral. So he must have had the funeral in San Diego. So really crazy. Let's see. You like pork belly? Well, bacon is about it. Pretty good stuff, of course, along with pig's ears. Yeah. Well, you like your delicacies. Well, that's what I see. Daria makes a lot is pork in Russia. It must be cheap. Once in a while, chicken, but not too. I don't see her with steaks and hamburgers and ribs too often. They just act like airheads, and when I try to talk to them, they act clueless, like they can't communicate like an adult. They just they then they just say bring up stuff that they heard on the news or just believe everything. Well, that's the problem with most kids. They that's what I try to warn everybody about here is be careful who you don't listen to Peter Schiff. He's an idiot. Don't listen to Jim Reichardt's or Lynette Zhang. They don't know what they're doing. You either listen to Mark McGuire or you listen to Egon. Otherwise, even Alligator's pissing me off because he changed his tune lately. Like they've talked to him like, oh no, you can't say this or that. And he's acting really weird. I told them if they keep it up, I will soon stop talking to them for an extended period of time. And they act like I'm a jerk when I say that. No, they're not kids, Professor. I mean the adults. Well, yeah. I mean, when I graduated with my master's in '95, so I'm like 30 some years old, and I talked to my brother who's a CPA, he went to U of M, and my mother about what I learned. They were clueless. I go, Social Security's bankrupt. Oh, no, it isn't. Yeah, it is. It was in '95, my teacher said. Well, he might have said it's going bankrupt. And they just keep it up. That's where the debt is all the Social Security, right? That's the problem. No, they're not kids. I mean the adults, yeah. Well, they're acting like kids. I don't blame the kids nearly as much because they often got to learn over time. But it's these adults pissing Bobby Bo off. Well, yeah, and it makes sense. Well, what do you think when I'm in the hot tub or I'm in the pool and I'm talking about gold, and these people are so stupid they don't get it. They don't want to listen. One guy, oh, I'm in oil stocks. I don't want to hear about gold. One guy was a teacher said, oh, it's all supply and demand, and I'm like, no, it's price fixed. That's the problem. It's not supply and demand as a Rolex is. This is communism where the government sets the price for the gold and silver, not the free market. And that's why I bitch, and that's what we're headed to. That's what I hope we get the BRICS. And if we get it with BRICS, where it's a supply and demand item, which I don't know why it isn't, it should be a free market item like every other item. It's worth so much more than what it's worth. But you have to know it's price fixed by JP Morgan. That's the problem. But here comes BRICS. Why do you think it's almost at 2,500? Because BRICS is sitting there going, nah, great, we're going to buy it. And the physical demand to buy it is more than COMEX can cope with. That's why it keeps going up. And that's why COMEX is almost done, because they don't have gold to put up in the options, in the derivatives. So when they short the gold, China says, I want to take delivery. Well, if you don't have any gold, the game's over. Then we get a physical price. That's what we want. And we know that price is 10 times more than the price that they're trying to sell. As The Rock says, I can smell what you're cooking. And that's what it is. I don't smell what they're cooking. This 2,400 is bullshit. It's 24,000. That's where I get it from, because in the free market, and you can see it, how the hell is the Mantle card 60,000 and the Rolex watch 100,000 and gold's 2,000? How the fuck can that be? There's limited supply of all three. The demand for gold's got to be higher because it's worldwide. Not everybody can afford a Rolex, but I can afford an ounce of gold for 2,400, but I can't afford a $60,000 Rolex. I'd much rather have $60,000 worth of gold because I know the gold's going up, and the Rolex too. But the key is when the dollar goes out, the Rolex goes to zero, but then gets repriced in gold. All that has to happen, everybody's freaking out, is come out with a gold-backed currency. Have this instead of this silver, have this backed by gold. And now all of a sudden, all your problems are gone. You can still have banks. You can still have that. Oh, that reminds me, there's a video I did yesterday, I saw about, and everybody will love it here, there will never be a CBDC. And I saw that and I thought of you guys and I'm going, yep. Oh, real quick. The Ravishing One beat Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight title. The 25-time champ Ric Flair, which means he lost it 24 times. Let me get Bobby the Brain with Andre the Giant and Rick Rude. Here's a neat one. Biden apparently has two different signatures. They think Biden's dead, and they think it's a double that is doing Biden, and they're going, this is the way he signed it, J-O-E, but where's the O in this one? And he looks different. They're showing different eyes and everything. Yeah, this one. They're going, well, wait. They look at the eyes. They're different. He's got, this is both Biden, but they don't look this. Look at the eyes. So it's just pretty interesting. All right, here we go. Digital dollars setback.
I have been in therapy since I was 6 years old. My parents said we want her to be emotionally intelligent, and that I am. I never.
Nobody gives it.
Financial transparency. Some financial experts fear the Federal Reserve might take action giving it greater control over Americans' financial freedom. That threat is the creation of a government-backed digital currency. CBN's Dale Hurd explains why this move is not only bad for consumers, it's bad for governments as well. It's digital.
When asked whether a Federal Reserve or central bank digital currency might be on the horizon, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said no.
People don't need to worry about a central bank digital currency. Nothing like that is remotely close to happening anytime soon.
While Powell admits the central bank continues to work toward this currency, he realizes the obstacles to success are insurmountable. For starters, the Fed knows a central bank digital currency, or CBDC, could wreck the nation's banking industry, threaten the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency, and even threaten the Fed itself. Financial expert Nick Anthony of the Cato Institute and author of the new book, Digital Currency or Digital Control, says CBDCs don't do much of anything well except spy on you and control your money.
The government shouldn't be trusted with a CBDC because they're so ripe for abuse. The government would have Americans' data by default. It would be on their servers a click away.
Digital money could be programmed solely for use towards certain purchases at certain times or with an expiration date. It could also be turned off, like how the Canadian government froze hundreds of bank accounts to stop the Canadian truckers' blockade over COVID restrictions.
Programmability has been something that many central banks and many governments have been looking into, where payments could be programmed or the money itself could be programmed.
However, Americans already have digital money, from credit and debit cards to apps like PayPal and other cryptocurrencies.
Okay, that's not digital. Those are electrical. So your Visa, you make a card, you make a payment with a debit or credit card, is not digital. It's electric. The money's there. It's just using the electric payment system. That's what a debit and credit card and PayPal. They are not digital.
Currency. In addition to competing directly with those financial tools, a central bank digital currency would be able to divert funds that private banks need to survive.
If we think about the current banking system, where deposits come in and then banks use those deposits to fund loans, a CBDC poses a fundamental threat to that, where every dollar that's held as a CBDC instead of in a savings account, for example, would mean that that's $1 less that the banking system can use.
A digital dollar would also be way more than the Federal Reserve, with its 20,000 employees, could handle. The Fed would have to take on the credit risks of hundreds of millions of Americans, as well as the legal responsibilities the private banking sector currently handles. And if you've ever stood in line at a DMV, you can imagine just how badly the government could mess it all up. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank's experiment with what it called Dcash was a small disaster. A single computer glitch made the currency unusable for months. And do Americans want to entrust even more of their financial information to the government, given that the Fed has been hacked several times in the past and leaked sensitive information about financial firms just last year? While there is talk of a privacy-enhanced CBDC, Anthony points out this is the same federal government that's already looking through your bank account.
The government has almost unfettered access into who you are and what you're doing, because it requires banks and other financial institutions to routinely report your financial activity.
Some argue the government will be forced to issue a CBDC to ensure the dollar remains the world's leading reserve currency. Technology, however, has nothing to do with the dollar's dominance. It's based on our rule of law, financial transparency, and capital markets. A badly managed CBDC, though, could cause other nations to ditch the dollar. This doesn't mean a digital dollar won't happen one day. Controlling people's money is, after all, the ultimate instrument of government control. But the Fed hasn't yet figured out how to make one work.
We're nowhere near recommending or let alone adopting a central bank digital currency in any form.
I'm going to show you a way to potentially.
All right, there you go. So all you guys worried about that, stop worrying. Now, do we trust Powell? Absolutely not, but it will never work. So that's my point, because the banks run by JP Morgan are not going to go out. That's what you'd basically do. You'd take all your money from the banks, Chase and JP Morgan and Wells Fargo, and move it to the central bank. It's not set up to do individual banking. They're set up to do, they help the banks. So if Chase needs money, they go to the Fed, not us. 350 million people, or what, 375 now with all the idiots coming in from the border. There's no fucking way you can possibly, it's not set for a central bank, and they can see our money anyway. If I want to take 10 grand out, guess what? Why are you taking the 10 grand? I'm going to go play poker in Vegas is what I tell them. That's it. I mean, so don't worry about CBDCs here. It might happen in smaller countries where the banks aren't controlling it, but JP Morgan runs this country, so don't worry about it. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. So, Bobby, you've got to, when you're talking to your family and they're not talking to you, or it's because they don't get it. See, very few people are taught the way I was, right? Because it's not Austrian economics that I'm taught anymore. So when I tell you it makes sense, the light goes on, you then tell them it's way over their head. They can't even comprehend what you're trying to tell them. And you have to tell them in a way simple to get them to understand. So you say, gold was $37 an ounce in 1972. Now it's $24.50. Gold didn't go up. It's still an ounce of gold. It's the dollar lost value. So you have to kind of explain prices aren't going up. It's the value of the dollar going down. And see, you got to feed them a little bit and see if the light goes on. They don't understand inflation. Inflation is the money supply being printed. They think it's prices going up. It's not. It's money supply. They got to know there's $130 trillion for the petrodollar, which is gone. They got to see the de-dollarization. All these countries joining BRICS to get into gold-backed currency to get out of the dollar. That's what's happening. So forget the world reserve currency crap. They had to because of the petrodollar, which is gone now. So now Saudi Arabia will take anybody's dollar. and not the U.S. And all these countries are de-dollarizing. They don't want to deal with the dollar or America and get sanctioned. So they're all lining up to join BRICS to get to the gold-backed currency where nobody controls gold. Gold's gold. That's where they're headed. That's why all the central banks are buying gold. They're getting out of the dollar. So if there's no demand for the dollar, it collapses. Another conclusion that nobody understands. How can the dollar go away? And that's when I bring you to Rome and say, well, if you were in the Roman Empire, you'd go, how did we lose? Man, we're the Roman Empire. We're the 70s Steelers. We can't lose. It's the same thing. That's the problem you have is they don't understand. And they don't understand is inflation killed Rome and they took all the gold and silver. They debased the coin. I don't know why people say debasement is inflation. Inflation is printing the money. You're not debasing the dollars because that means you're taking gold and silver out of the coin. So what does that got to do with the dollar? You're not taking anything out of you're not taking paper out of it. You're inflating the dollar because it's inflating the money supply. And yet all these so-called experts don't understand that. They call it debasement, and they're wrong. And so anyway, that's the problem. You print it to death, and it goes out. I showed, there's one, Bobby, I showed the Nazis' plan for World War II was to counterfeit a bunch of British pounds and dump them into London, which would have destroyed the pound. But instead of doing that, they said, oh, these are so good. We're printing money. And they took the pounds and they bought arms and stuff for the Germans using the British pounds. And nobody knew they were counterfeit. So that was the idea, was to dump it in London, and it would kill, London wouldn't have any money because it would all be worthless. And the English did it to the France in 1795. They counterfeited a bunch of French francs and dumped them into Paris. And that's how Paris went away because, that's how they lost the reserve currency, because all of a sudden they flooded the market with dollars. They were worthless. So anytime, it's just overprinting. It's a very simple concept, but people fight it. Oh no, it's prices going up. No, it's not prices going up, because prices can't always go up. Coke's been $2.95 for a 2 liter for 2 years now. It went from $1.59 to $2.95, but it hasn't gone up because they can't do it. And now it's buy 2, get 1 free. You see a lot of that on Fritos and Lucky Charms. Buy 2, get 1 free, because nobody is going to pay $5 for a bag of Fritos. But if you get 1 free, now it's $2.50 a bag. People will pay for it. So that you can't just raise prices. That's a bullshit line. It's strictly the money's worth less. That's why a house cost you $25,000 in 1970, and now it's $500,000. It's still a house. It's the money is worth less. That's how you got to kind of explain it to these people. If you're talking economics, you almost have to understand you're talking to an idiot, right? I can't talk. My brother's got a CPA from U of M. He's a fucking idiot. So you've got to understand that this is not something that's commonly learned, right? So you've got to take baby steps with these people. You got to see the light going on, and then you got to try different angles with it. You got to. Even Jenna doesn't get it. She doesn't. I give her gold. She says, well, we got paper money. And I go, you don't understand it. Just the gold's going to go up to silver. Now she's starting to see the gold at $24.50. She's gone, he does know what he's doing. And she's making money, because when I first started giving it to her, gold was probably $2,100. Now it's $2,400. And now it's going to $2,500. And she's like, and she doesn't understand it, but she knows that I'm right because she can see the gold going up. And so now she's getting a little more excited about it. Anyway, she's in Berlin with Natasha, and they're supposed to. Natasha's her girlfriend from the Ukraine who moved out because of the war, but Jenna won't. And I think they're going to go to Prague on Tuesday and A lot of hot women in Prague. So I told her, pick up a woman for us, a girl for us. So anyway, she laughed at that. But they're going to take a train, I guess, is like 60 euros to train from Berlin to Prague. And then she wants me to pay for a hotel. And I said, well, give me on bookings for a day or two, just a cheap one. Because the reason I didn't mind her going to Berlin is she stays with her friends, so there's no hotel. But now she's, we want to go to Prague. I'm like, yeah, well, okay. So that's that. Daria's like still, I have it figured out. Now, I went to Barcelona with Jenna, and she had to leave because nobody could watch her dog. She had to feed the dog and take the dog for a walk. So she said, I got to leave. My son was supposed to do it, had to go to Kiev on business. I got nobody there. So she left after like 3 or 4 days. And I got pissed. I said, where the fuck you going? If I'm coming from America to Barcelona, I'm here to see you for the week. I'm not coming for 3 days. So Daria's got the same thing. We need somebody to babysit the daughter, who we thought the daughter would come with, and now the daughter doesn't want. She wants to stay home. But we need a babysitter, just like Jenna with the dog. That's the problem. So now I understand it. So once she gets the babysitter or whatever, then I should meet Daria. She keeps saying, I want to meet you. And I go, I believe it. My friend from Alabama doesn't believe it. Oh, no, she's playing. I go, there's nothing to play. Anyway, so that's the thing with women. They if I flew to Prague, Jenna would meet me there. Anyway, so that's what's going on with the girls. But the point is, when you're trying to teach economics, you must teach it. You must realize the audience has no fucking clue. So a lot of times I'll say, you need to buy gold because the dollar's going out. Nobody believes me. Well, you can't print it to nothing. So I was on the bike a couple weeks ago, and a guy got his money in oil stock, or it was in his 401k, he said. And I said, but the dollar's going out. You don't understand that. And he's, no, it isn't, or whatever. And I says, you would have been good in Rome. You would have thought that the Roman Empire couldn't go away. And I laughed. And that was my last point to him is, as I'm leaving, you'd have been nice in the Roman Empire. You would have believed that nothing could happen. And as it ended. So just have an open mind and understand it. So I don't know what you tell your kids, Bobby, or your family. All you can do is, the reason you want gold is they can't print it. They can't inflate it. It will never lose its real value. They're playing games with it because the communists are having the government price fix it, or the banks are price fixing it, not the free market. And that's all. That's why it's not 20,000. All you can do is buy it at this cheap price of 2,400, knowing it's going up once we get a free market price on it. And that's what BRICS is. And that's should be happening in October, according to Mark McGuire. They'll be rolling out a gold-backed currency. And once that's rolled out, then they're going to want to, first of all, a higher price and then a free market price, get away from this COMEX bullshit. Because when you have 20,000 tons and China's got 60,000 tons, guess what? You want a higher gold price, especially when China's going bankrupt. Believe me, they have all this gold, so they're not rolling it out. They're going to roll it out in October before they go bankrupt. But all these Chinese videos I keep showing you, the problems with Evergrande, the problems with the banks, the problems with the military, China's falling apart. There's not going to be a war. They can't have a war. They can't afford it. Their military, they can't pay them. I mean, there's no war there. So that's the thing. Once the gold-backed currency, if you own 60,000 tons of gold, look at us. We can't wait for gold and silver to go up. I don't have anywhere near a ton, and I can't wait for gold to go up, right? But so imagine having 50, 60,000 tons of it. Of course you want it to go up, and then you'll be rich. And that's the fight. The U.S. is trying to keep the price down because they don't have any gold. And here it is. I did go to the barbecue place last night, and I saw our gold and silver buddy. He's like part owner, manager of it. So we were talking, and I keep trying to explain to him, well, the dollar's going to be worthless. We keep joking. I said, you should say you take gold and silver there. And he's kind of joking about it. Going, why would I said? And then I said to him, when you're done and you got your money in, you should run and buy gold with it. And then, because you don't know when the dollar is going to collapse, you don't want to be sitting on $60,000-$70,000 and it collapses. Switch it into gold, and if you need money, you can go sell the gold for useless dollars again. He heard me, but I don't think he's doing it. But I totally recommend it, even as your business. I mean, I went Saturday about 4:00 after swimming, and I left. It was like 5:30, and he's on the phone, all these orders, making good money, and I'm like, man, you need to turn that into gold. But that's how business works. He's selling ribs and chicken and a little bit of steak, and you get the fries and the salad with it, or coleslaw. He's making a fortune selling barbecue, and but the money won't be worth anything. He needs to turn it to gold, and so I don't know if hopefully he'll do that. But anyway, it was good to see him. But I just got the chicken yesterday. But anyway, that's what people don't get. People are not understanding that the dollar's the player, the dollar's what's going out. So try to tell your friends and family. You have to explain it like gold was 30 cents. I get the most reaction when I say gold was $32 an ounce in 71, and now it's 2,400. And I say the price of gold didn't go up, the dollar lost value. And that shows you how much value the dollar lost. And it's still not close to reality, because it's really not 2,450, the gold price. That's the paper gold price, not the physical gold price. If you got the derivatives out who keep knocking it down and up and down, if you get them out of the way and let it go like a Rolex, it'd be 30, 40,000 an ounce easily. If the Rolex is there, believe me, that's what would happen. So that's the best way to teach people. Let's see. China's commerce is down 80%, and Hua shut down. So all these businesses are shutting down because there's no economy. The China Observer. If you don't have customers, so in other words, let's say we open up a restaurant, we don't have any customers, we got shut down. But let's say we had customers, but now they're all broke, they don't have any money. All the US people moved out, and now they don't have money, and without the money they can't. So I can't go to the restaurant if I'm not working, I don't have money to do it. The restaurant has to close down because of that. A good match here, Paul Orndorff against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Sting and Hulk Hogan against Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. That was a good match. This is the one I watched, Peter Schiff and Pal. Pal's a Bitcoin guy. Schiff's an idiot. Look how it's worse than you ever imagined. Start doing this, But when you hear Schiff say buy gold, well, of course you sell gold. So of course that's what you're going to say. So I was looking at this SQL for hopefully getting the new job. It's pretty interesting. It's just doing queries to pull data from tables. It'd be a good job for me. It'd be easy. That's what I do with football and baseball now anyway. So That's what be happening. So China faces vast unemployment, funds gone, benefits recalled. So China's really fucked. Japan's really fucked. Why Japan is bankrupt? Because of inflation. It's all the same story. Why do these countries have problems? Because they printed money and it's inflated and it's worthless. You can't run an economy if you don't have the medium of exchange. That's why you don't fuck it up by printing it. But Soros has everybody doing this MMT crap. So everybody thinks that you just keep printing money and it's not, it doesn't have a bearing, which is bullshit. That's why they don't want anybody understanding Austrian economics, because the first thing we say is you can't print money and it's got to be backed by gold, because if you print it, it's worthless. But nobody knows that. So Bobby, if you're telling your friends or anybody's telling their friends, they won't understand that concept. And that's why I say you have a chocolate cake every day, you're going to gain weight. If you keep printing money every day, it will be worthless. And Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Sri Lanka, Rome, it's over and over and over. And when you're on the gold standard, you have high prosperity, but then you get off of it because, the wolves come in and want the money and they start giving social, hey, I want to be in charge. I'll give everybody money. Well, of course, everybody's going to like you. Where are you getting the money from? Because from the people that earned it, because we had gold, and then we get off the gold and it's all fucked. And that's where we're at. And people don't realize that gold is so cheap because it's been price fixed. It's not free market. That's the biggest thing that people don't understand. Oh no, it's supply and demand. No, it's not fucking close to supply and demand. It's price fixed by the U.S. communist bank called J.P. Morgan. That's why gold's cheap. And so we understand that, we go buy it. Fuck, I can get a $20,000 ounce of gold for $2,400. Where's the line? Silver should be much, much higher than $30. This Yankee Doodle dandy says, "Oh, it'll never be 100 in my lifetime." Yeah, it'll be a couple thousand in your lifetime. But you don't understand the concept that it's price fixed. Because once the demand's there for silver, but the derivatives keep the price down. And guys like that don't understand what a derivative is or the price fixing. It's amazing. And he runs a coin store and he doesn't get the basic premise. So all he does, like an idiot, he just sells his gold and silver, comes in, he sells it. Oh, it'll never hit 100. The fuck are you saying that for? You have no idea what you're talking about. Why don't you have an idea? So anyway, that's what it is. It's price fixed, communist style, where the government is pricing gold and silver, not the free market. So that's why we buy it. Now the question is, can we get away from the government price fixing gold to a free market? And that's where brics comes in, and brics should let it go because they're going to want a higher gold price. Now the U.S. is fighting them because the U.S. doesn't have any gold, or very little, or people like us have it, but not the Fed and not your Fort Knox. They don't have any gold, so they don't want the gold price to go up because they know they're fucked. But here comes brics, and they will set a much higher price. And what are you going to do when Russia and China want to set the price higher? So they'll have their price, and you're going to have your price, and nobody's going to go to your price. Everybody will go to I think it's Shanghai price or something in China. We'll be pricing it, or Russia, and they'll be setting the price, and it'll be at least 10,000 an ounce because this price is bullshit. Anyway, according to Mark McGuire, we'll be at 3,000 soon. That's the price target, but that's still a paper price target, not a physical price target. So what we're saying is that the physical price of gold, the supply demand, like the Rolex and the Mantle cards, that's the price of gold. that we're expecting. And how the hell is Rolex 60,000? Let me show you some Rolexes. So here's a Rolex at $820,000. You think that's price fixed, or you think that's real? This one's hard to believe because it's new with tags. How can it be new? Because it can't be new. It might be new, but not. It's got to be used, because Rolex will not make the watch unless this guy backed out of it. So here's $820,000 for a fucking watch, and gold's at $2,400. Really? And here's this one at $527,000 pre-owned. So this is a used Rolex, $527,000 for a fucking watch. Well, this Brady card, it was 10 million the other day, and now it's 5 million. What's he doing? Very, very strange. And our last Rolex that ended 22,862. All right, I'm sure that's a used one. They won't have new ones in here. So how the fuck does that happen? Right? We get a Rolex. We get a Rolex for 820,000, but gold's 2430 and a Rolex is 800,000. What's missing here, right? So supply and demand is not obviously there. So Rolexes are very limited and very much in demand. They can get 820,000. Gold's not as limited. Well, certain Rolexes they don't make a lot of, so they're more limited, but in the whole, Rolexes are probably the same as gold. The demand is extremely high for gold and Rolexes. But you can see what happens when it's not price fixed. The real price comes out, 820,000. Now, if JP Morgan was price fixing Rolexes, that thing would be $1,500. See, and that's the hidden part. You think, oh, the Rolexes are only worth $1,500. That's if the banks / government price fixed them. But you can see in the free market what they're worth. So imagine if you had a free market of gold and not the price fixing. So they price fixed it at 2,400. They're trying to keep it down to 2,000, but they can't. It keeps being bought. And they keep running these derivatives. As we showed you on Friday, it was like a $60 derivative down. Well, what's that? That's not free market. Nobody's sold an ounce of gold. They're all buying. And it's going down $70 for what? Or $60. You don't see the Rolex doing it. That's the difference between government price fixing. So the government was price fixing the price of gold down from $2,475 to $2,420, and it got back up to $2,445, and it will open much higher on Monday. I think we'll see 2,500 next week. The key is because of Basel III, that you have to have gold and it has to be delivered. So when China is asking for the gold, you must deliver it. And they're probably running out of gold is the problem. And when you don't, you can only do the derivative, the option, if you have gold. You need some physical. And if you don't have it, you can't run the option blind. So that's where it's being caught. And that's where I believe we're getting to a free market on it, not the government price fixing it. But you can see where it's headed. Look at the fucking Rolexes. That's a free market. They're very limited with high demand. Look at the price. And that's where gold at 2,400, it's a joke. I mean, it's nowhere near for the limited supply and high demand of gold, because the dollars are going out. Most people realize that, right? China. I don't know what Japan's doing, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, South Africa. They're all buying gold. They all realize we're going to have a gold-backed currency, and it's bingo. It's going to be, probably 10,000. I don't know if it goes right away to 10, but it'll be 10,000, and off you go with it. So that's really what we're waiting for, and it's just sitting in our laps. Here's BRICS. Here we go. That's the key to it. But yet you listen to these idiots, they don't understand BRICS. They really, I don't think most of them understand inflation's printing the money. Some do. Egon does. I think Mark McGuire maybe. They just know inflation's high. Alligator's beginning to really lose it. He doesn't understand anything. Well, yeah, BRICS might go to a gold-backed currency in 5 years. Mark McGuire says it's October, and you're telling you don't have a clue. So I can't listen to Alligator anymore. I think he's lost his mind. Or he's being told not to say certain things. I don't really know, but he's becoming very strange. Not like he was. So I don't even want to listen. I listen to him like I listened to Peter Schiff or Maloney or Andy Schectman. I showed you that Andy Schectman video last week where he rumbles on and doesn't say a word. Nothing's coherent. But because nobody knows what he's saying, they can't disprove him except for me, because I know exactly what's going on. And I tell him to go fuck off. You don't know what you're talking about. So anyway. So that's what we have. That's the beauty of it. It's like we know the mantle card's worth 60,000, PSA 9, 1965. And they're trying to price fix it at 2,000. So we keep buying it because we know it's really worth 60,000 that we're getting for 2. And that's what gold and silver are. So when a guy says silver will never hit $100, why? Do you realize it's price fixed by derivatives? Do you understand the government's holding the price down? Do you understand that's going to go away with BRICS? No, doesn't understand it at all. He's looking at a paper price. He's saying the paper price will never go to 100. We're not arguing that. We're arguing the physical price, the real price in a free market based on supply and demand. It'll go way over 100. So if you think that's 30 is it, and it just proves you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand free markets, and you certainly don't understand derivatives. That's the problem with most of these guys. They think the 30 is the real price, and they think it's the free market price. So why would it go up? Because the dollar's going out. Do you understand the dollar going out? Oh, no, the dollar can't go out. We're the reserve currency. It's being debased. No, it's being inflated at the base. They don't even understand what debased is. So how do you reason with these idiots? Debased is taking the gold and silver out of the coin. That's debasement. You cannot take gold and silver out of the dollar. It's just paper. So what are you taking? Paper out of the paper? It is only inflated. It is not. There's no such thing as debasing dollars. So again, these guys just show how stupid they are when they talk like that. But the problem is, like Bobby's saying, you listen to like Lynette Zink. She's a stockbroker. She doesn't know anything about economics. So you listen to her and you listen to what she says, and it's very, very wrong because she doesn't know what she's talking about. Or these Austrian guys, as good as gold or whatever. No, you listen to Egon. His friend Matt he's a stockbroker. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's another one. You get a lot of these guys that rumble on but don't say anything. I'm very careful to say something when I rumble on. But you got to be careful with that. Anyway, any questions, comments? Bobby, you still there? Luke, Nick? So that's what we got. Big day yesterday, 8-2 on my baseball picks. And today we'll go through them one more time, although most of the games have kicked off. Frisco over 9, the Yankees over 9, Washington over 9, Pittsburgh with Scanes, Baltimore, Detroit over 8.5, Minnesota because the White Sox lost 19 in a row, Houston over 8.5, Texas over 8, Philly under 7, San Diego over 8, and the Cubs over 9. So, as Bobby's saying, please don't get frustrated that we know something that most people don't. They're not taught it. I got lucky. I happened to go. I was just going for a master's in finance because I had my undergrad in business, and I really liked analyzing, and I liked math and finance. I said, well, let me get a master's in finance. I had no idea about Austrian economics, and the way it was taught was very just how I teach you. Very no graphs, no charts, no need. And so I stumbled onto it, so I can teach you. But realize 99% of the people don't have a clue what we're talking about. Now we can try to clue them in, but it's very hard to change people because they have listened to their teachers who are idiots. So somebody tells you today's Tuesday, and then when we come up and say today's Sunday, very hard for them to not believe it's Tuesday because their friend, their teacher told them or whatever. That's what we're running into. So please don't get frustrated. We know the answer. At this point, I'll teach it here, but I'm pretty much zip mouth at the pool where I don't even bring it up. If somebody wants to talk about, if somebody comes up to me and knows me and says, tell me about gold, I'll talk about it. Otherwise, I don't want, there's nothing, I'm just stoic there, right? I'm the man, and why should I help you? You won't listen to me anyway. So fuck you. Like the guy at the bike. Oh, I got my 401k or my, well, it's not going to be worth anything. Good luck. I think I showed you the one on the stock market crashing yesterday or the day before. So why put your money in the bank or the stocks? It's all paper money. It's all the Titanic sinking. You want to get off the boat, so don't be in dollars. Now, it might not crash tomorrow, but it's going to crash because all these people are going to take their money and get out and buy gold. So they're going to sell their stocks to get money to buy gold. And don't be stuck on the reserve currency so the dollar can't collapse. I'm pretty sure the Romans were the reserve currency, and the French and the British were the reserve currency, and they all crashed. So don't act like that can't happen. It happens all the time. It's based on you printing money, and the money goes value to zero. That's why in Germany they had a wheelbarrow, because it was a bunch of nothing. The money wasn't worth anything. So don't listen. That's not the right answer. The right answer is you've inflated the money, the supply. That's what you're doing. You're inflating the money supply. That's what inflation is, inflating the money supply, making it worth zero. That's the whole. So just understand that. If nobody wants to listen or they don't want to believe, fine. Maybe you buy an extra 10 ounces of gold for them, or if it's your family, like I do for Jenna and Daria, I buy gold for them because I know they're not going to understand it. Although Daria understands gold, Jenna doesn't. She thinks, well, we use paper, and not realizing that you can't. If you keep printing the paper, it doesn't have a value anymore. That's the problem people don't get. They don't understand if you keep printing it, it goes to zero. That's what I keep trying to drive the hammer home and get you to understand that concept. And if you understand that concept, you can't do it with gold. This is why gold's still around for 5,000 years, because you can't inflate gold. You can only dig it out of the ground. You can't inflate it. So that's why gold's what you want, because you can't inflate it. Dollars you don't want, because the dollar is depreciating. I tried telling that to the guy at the restaurant yesterday. He says, but the dollar's being depreciated to zero. Why do you want to hold it? If you hold gold, it's going up. So why do you want to be in dollars? And, he kind of gets it and he doesn't. We'll be okay in dollars. And you're kind of going, really? Okay. So anyway, off to the pool. Anything else? We will see, Bobby. Have a nice day. Although I don't think you're still here. Just be calm with the family. They don't know. They don't have a clue. And watch Eddie Murphy. Watch Trading Places. That'll really help you when they're at the trading and they sell the orange juice at 140 and they buy it at 29. So really what they did it out of order. Really, you buy 29, sell at 142. They sold it first because in options you can do that. And then they bought it at 29 and they sold it one. So they made, millions of dollars. And that's what's happening in gold all the time. As soon as it jumps, if it was a jump to 2,500 tomorrow, you would have derivatives knocking it back down, not because it's profit taking or, whatever. It's because it's high. I can do a derivative now and knock it down because they bought all the derivatives going up. So if I sell it, it'll drop because there's no derivatives to buy. They just bought. So keep an eye on that. All right, I'm off to the pool. It's Sunday. I don't know what I'm doing for dinner. We will see. But I had the barbecue yesterday, but usually I have it for 2 days, but I was pretty hungry yesterday. So I ate the whole, it's a half a chicken. So I ate that. All right, everybody, have a good day. Good luck on the baseball if you're betting it. We'll talk more football. And of course, brics and Comex. Comex is basically communism. The government sets the price by using derivatives. That's what it is. But they can't even do that. They want the price of gold at 1,900. It's 24.50 going to 25. They've lost control of it. So that's where the free market is buying because they know the dollar going out and they want to get it. They want to sell it just like us, right? I had all this money and I took it out and I bought gold with it. So I got out of dollars into gold because the dollar's depreciating down, the gold's going up. You can see it. I mean, now it's 24.40, and it'll be 25.40. And then when it hits 3,000, we can all laugh at Yankee Doodle Dandy for not understanding. He thinks gold will go to 2,500. Dude, it's at 24.50. What do you mean? Did you ever hear of brics, or you're too stupid to understand that? Anyway, have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Have a good day and good luck if you're betting. And I will talk to you tomorrow, probably our normal afternoon time, maybe 2 or 3. We will see. Hopefully I hear about the job. Probably Monday, Tuesday, I should hear. It shouldn't be like the other job. This should be pretty quick. And that's about it. So have a great day. Enjoy. Watch your sugars. Be careful. And your carbs. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice